teams for that matter, because Agers was able to not only get the elimination cleanup on the Rise, he gets another one onto Aviv as well. 1v1. No matter who comes out alive in this situation, both of them kind of second guessing probably this decision. G-Money's going to go ahead and try to disengage on out, or at least try to make the attempt, but he was so low on HP. Yep, he gets cleaned up. It turned into a 5-tick. So for Agers, he does have all these heals, but he is on the clock to try to get out to see what he has left.
Yeah, it's crazy because he hit S rank right as that happened, and then G-Money falls to the storm naturally, so it was perfect. He gets the Siphon to kind of stay in the game here, and this is why he's waiting this one out a bit, but you know Lavi had to have heard something happening inside the storm, and they'll be waiting for them. But that's going to be a potential lead given back to the rest of the lobby to play for. Cooper Curly Reed, much to be desired here in this game, but they have the zone right now. They have a little bit of damage, but not too much. They can sit idle here.
Literally what we were talking about, one mistake in games like this, and stack lobbies that are this close could cost you anything. It was only 10 points of differential between first and second going into this game. Even third was less than 50 points overall, more than enough to change the tide because it's outside of the placement points so far. Last we saw was about 19 teams still left alive. Still 19 teams in the game, but one does go down. Craze was the one that did get cleaned up. It's only guessings. That might be Booga, Craze, and Threats out of the lobby.
Peterbot Ritual, the first to play for a little bit of that elevated high ground here. I like this positioning. I think they are recognizing too they need a win. And whoa, little delivery from Donnie there. Insta elimination too. Notice Cole wants his team though before he goes to even dares to look at that loot there. There's a bit too much going on beneath them.
Yeah, no knock. Straight Elam, Booga, Craze, and Threats officially out. Around 19th place, so no placement points for them so far. Clixiamzo and Higgs are feeling the pressure from across. A bunch of players spraying their way in. They're trying to get off that bottom layer, but Clix does a good job. Not only getting the shields down, but leaving them with just a sliver of HP, but it's more than one. It's more than two. It's almost 3 to 4, 5 even teams shooting in this direction. Yamzo's going to go down. You see the material count relatively low. No hard match. They're building a wood. That's a huge sign of weakness. The spray is relentless, and I don't think it's going to stop.
It's Peterbot straight up from up top. They're kind of initiating this. They're almost signaling to the lobby, get in here, add that damage, and they just get focused right back to the start of the game. PH Zin also had a little bit of an influence on that one. And that's just tough, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, this entire pocket right here, bad news, bad business.
I feel so bad because I've been in that situation. I'm not even a tenth of the way as skilled as these players, but I've been in that situation before, and it sometimes feels like there's no hope of making it out, and already two different teams got claimed because of that entire situation. So a 10-point lead is almost guaranteed to be diminished yet again. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. But let's go ahead and say Kanado, Bolts, and Rapid as well have a chance to move up the leaderboard as well. From third to possibly getting second or first.
Oh, most definitely. They were one of those teams in the focus fire. Peterbot getting a little sample of what that feels like. And he knows what to do. Change layers instantly there. Gotta give it up, and it's Kanado who goes up top as well. But that same team just focuses onto them. And then Bolt has to come in, pick him up in this form, but Rapid puts a little wall down there, so it kind of slows things down for a second, but the pressure's still coming through. King's Trio is the one on the other layer right in front of them. They actually leave Kanado behind, so clearly Rapid couldn't even pick up the body.
Wait a minute.
Might get him. They might get him. It's a miss. Medmiss there. Kept him in the game. I don't even know who dropped that. Could have been Rapid. Could have left him there with the Medmiss. Who knows? Just have to find out later.
And they have a couple more in their inventory. And you see Bolts, the selfless play coming out of Bolts. Yo, my man, you could take this cape. You got it. I got some dashes. I could smoothly move around. Maybe just a little bit better with my health, shields, and everything that I have. But the high ground goes on over to Josh, Tyler, and Curve. They've been through the ringer so far during this FNCS. But it's a day 2 opportunity to start to build that confidence he was looking for. And 90 left on the Chug, and the cape as well. Bolts is making magic happen right before our very eyes.
Still clutching up. Meanwhile, Curve also finds an Elim on the backside of zone onto Peterbot, and then another one, too. Mud, Sphinx, and Shadow, though, back in the mix here. Shut down the momentum. Josh was building up with Curve's trio there, and now leaving Curve by himself. And that was a 12 elimination, 5th place for him, but Bolts is the one who's going to go ahead and put the stamp on it, and he is still going in this endgame.
And Bolts, I saw rapping for a little bit. Kanata's even still alive, out of the shadows. He emerges, but a whole trio still down below. Reed, Cooley, and Curly, they're on the other side, but they have to go left. They're just dictating as much of the flow, and even Curly does it again, cutting off their path. Bolts got dropped down to 3 HP, forced to use that miss form to try to go to the other side, lands in the zone. He has 40 on the Chug. He can't get to full health, but at least he has an opportunity to fight back. He loses his teammate along the way. He's the only solo left in the lobby, but it's not for long. He's going to get taken down. 3v2 opportunity for Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx to close this one out.
He's big here. Muzz jumping around. He's got that visual, trying to just stay low key here, but cutting him off. Shadow comes down as well. Shadow's just one pump away from getting sent back, though. He's got to be careful. This form, though, perfectly done. Down goes Reek. 2v1 situation. Cooper, you're good. But Muzz is here to clean things up, and just like that, they sweep the dust under the rug. Well played for them as they start to put themselves closer to the top.
312 points going into this game in 7th place. And their best game so far through the weekend was a 4th with 13 eliminations. They've been all over the leaderboard. They finally have found their stride and a way to push everything that they face to the side and really hone in here on day 2. They're fighting for that global championship spot with a few other teams. And so far, Muzz has been lights out. And this is what you were talking about with him. Taking down Josh. Sphinx was staying above. He had the med miss, the justice case in his back pocket.
This is the best we've seen Muzz in recent times. And with Sphinx and Shadow, I just feel like he's finding his new stride here. Now, again, having to come through the LCQ, this is just more proof as to why they are so deserving to be here. Sphinx and Shadow turning up just alongside him. A great victory royale for this team here. And game number 8, Zeke, is now wraps. Kelly, you didn't believe in Muzz. I did. You know what, Muzz? She specifically said, I don't believe in Muzz. There's no way. And I said, no, everyone believes in Muzz. Kelly, that she didn't actually say that. I'm just making that up.
Is that a voice recording of me? Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was. I recorded the message. Muzz, Sphinx, and Shadow get themselves a victory royale. I love in this game, for a moment, things look a little grim, right? We're on the low. We don't have much going on. And suddenly, in the 11th zone, they're like, hey, what if we just go for height? Like, what if we, no one up there, right? And like, what if we just take that? And then this kind of leads them to win the game.
Yeah, Muzz, Shadow, Sphinx did an absolutely incredible job there. Watching the low ground, they were sticking to the front of zone and even using some early med mists into Storm to make sure that they're controlling the front of zone, which allowed them to kind of get better awareness onto where high ground was. And like you said, there was no high ground, so going for the eliminations, able to take kind of this like middling high ground, but in reality, they just were going on the aggro. They didn't allow anyone to really like stay calm, compose themselves, and instead able to get those eliminations and that victory royale.
I mean, able to find the needed momentum for the victory royale right there, right? That typical position we've been seeing on the low ground where you kind of position yourself right off to the side of the moving zone so you can see everybody kind of rotating in on the ground. That's just lagging a little bit behind. They pick up an elimination there, have the resources to go ahead and justify going up for the high ground. And like Zeke mentioned, there was nobody on height, so they didn't have to take it for height. They just kind of just walked up. We'll talk about all that mess later. But yeah, a good win for this trio, especially in terms of making sure that they stay in contention for that global qualification spot.
Oh, man. Of course, this is what's going to happen. Every game, the settings are going to change in ways that are not predictable. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to break. When we return, though, we start to kind of break some of this down. But for Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx, this is really good. We'll see you soon.
Control starts with a Celsius. Health is wealth, baby. Through the impact zone, that's cardio. Down the line, that's meditation. Straight to my shift. Do the rounds, get the lowdown. Set a broken wrist. Breathe, fuel. Rounds again. Pressure, blood pressure. Clock out. Clip in. Do it again tomorrow.
Taco Bell's $5, $7, and $9 Lux Cravings boxes. Take a dip with the $5 Classic box. Indulge in the $7 Supreme box. Or try the $9 Discovery box, featuring the crispy chicken burrito. Get Lux for less, only at Taco Bell. Is it good?
Case closed.
Fully gummy pop.
Bouncy to find curls. Easy. Garnier Fructis Curl Air Dry Cream. Powered by coconut oil and plant protein. 48-hour moisture and frizz-free definition without heat tools. For all the curly, wavy, coily hair beauties like you. Fructis Curl Nourish by Garnier.
Isn't it kind of crazy how simple things make a big difference? Like almonds. Just blend them up with water and soda. Oh yeah, that's good. You know what other simple thing makes a big difference? A good walk. Michelle, do you fancy a walk? Okay, we can race. Not giving her a head start again.
Calafia organic almond milk.
From a dream to 1 million spot.
Crazy. It should have maybe also potentially been a win from Peterborough's trio as well, because kind of like the same thing happened in Peterborough's trio and Kanada's trio. They both tried to establish height on the front side of moving zone, and it was just like the whole lobby was just like, what if you just don't? And just kept spraying at them, right? Like we saw Peterborough getting knocked down. He was like 15 HP, had to drop all the way down, ended up wasting a bunch of resources on that potential play. And then Kanada, we saw one of them get knocked, and for a second we didn't think they were going to get the revive off, and we were like, why are you guys not reviving? But it ended up working out there, right? But yeah, just lost all height identity that game as a result of it, but still able to recover in both of those trios.
I'm telling you, man, I feel like this season we have just seen so many solo moments that have been so like pivotal for a trio, right? That have kept them in the game or earned those little bit of points to just make sure they don't stumble. Bolts, shout outs to you. Of course, we have to continue the conversation though. We wanted to highlight Peterbot here as well. Obviously, these guys are performing very, very well. I think it is funny though that you called that out, Vivid. You know, we saw him dash all the way across the entirety of the zone. And then, yeah, for whatever reason, the entire lobby was like, wait a minute, that's Peterbot. And then everyone just started shooting at him. Then Kanada's like, okay, let me take height from him. They get shot out. He goes down. It was a wild one for the trio.
Or what should have been.
Just crazy stuff, you know what I mean? Like, it should have, like Kelly was saying, it should have been, pretty easy high ground. They had it established, and then, yeah, it was just like the dashes came out. It just couldn't establish it fast enough.
Yeah, for what should have been their game to win, especially after getting Rift Island pretty handily and having high ground for few zones as well. It's Peterbot just made some interesting plays. He dropped down, and it looked like that was when Kanata's trio was going for high ground, but what should have been an easy disengage just looked so rough, especially for Peterbot. It just seemed like you said everyone turned and focused on them, and when you see them in first place with 519 points, you can understand why. And then Agers, Acord, and Pollo just 12 points behind them. I thought the storyline between these two was done, but we still have the Pollo versus Peterbot. Who's going to be better? Zeke, we need to find out.
I know. Really quick, before we go to game, I just wanted to highlight that sneaky moment from Peterbot and from Clicks. We're just sneaking in over here, trying to attack King PH Zin and Phaser. And it's funny because we got this angle and it's like, oh, Peterbot's sneaking up. Oh, shoot. And then like moments later, Clicks is also here at Lone Wolf. What is going on today?
I think that as far as in regards to getting storm tags and to be able to go on the aggression outside of the storm bases, this is one of the best moves to make. And Clixie, Yamzo, and Higgs, I don't know if they were planning on going onto Phaser's trio after Peterbot. It seems like, great minds think alike. And unfortunately, I think it was just a little bit too many resources for not that much of a payoff. One elimination, and then they use all these mats and all this time as well. You got to think about it. Time is a resource. It definitely was a fun play to watch, but I don't know if it was the correct play to make.
It's okay. It's fine. It's all good. We don't have to worry about it because we have more games to entertain us here in NA. So, casters, takes back in.
Who would have thought games would fly by this quick? We waited so long for this FNCS Grand Finals, Monsoon. Already, we're almost 75% of the way through.
Yeah, it's going by really quickly here. 3 games in, basically, as we're queuing up for this next one here shortly. And just like that, we'll start to look to crown a winner. But the competition is now officially gotten closer, Jacob. So let's see who's going to really take it away.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine on that. Yeah. Like everything. This could be a good time for that. Are they? What did they just have? 2 games in a row? We only played 2 games. Oh. Yeah. Yep.
Meanwhile, the action unfolded here. Ayasi, Jojo, Fishy Pikes, they've learned their lesson coming out of the previous rounds here. They look to make quick work. They do just that here to kind of send us on our way.
The early fight with the Spire, even the Spire NPCs is dealing some damage onto these players that are kind of just tunneling around, just trying to get these eliminations. It does look like Blue is dropped by himself, but he evens up the ties with a knock onto Monty. So it's basically him versus Scuffy's at a 1v1. He misses that first shot. Now he's just down to his last one in the Outlaw, but he goes down to Scuffy's. But you have to be careful. Top left of the map. The Spire's making some noise, and you know who else lands here.
I was going to say, though, with missing those shots like that, you almost deserve to not walk away successful there. Like Scuffy's team just managed to somehow find his grip and then clutch that one out big time. And you see Sphinx and Shadow just lurking. They hear what's happening, but they didn't quite take the jump there. Missed opportunities. Peterbot holding Ritual back to the brutal boxcar. Business as usual for them. It's almost now the bigger question is, what more can they do? They've already turned their sights on Acorn's team yesterday. They came in today and almost almost chose peace to some degree, right? They haven't done anything out of the ordinary. They've in fact played very, very standard games. But Jacob, look at this lurk.
Yeah, it might have been a missed opportunity to get the XP, take down the Spire yourself, but you got to imagine after hearing the fight, knowing the Spire took some time to get taken down, now Shadow actually gets visual of where they're at, seeing Monty using that surf cube to fly across the land. This is where they're going to continue this chase, and I'm not sure when they're going to call it quits because they also need damage just like everybody else.
Yeah, they got to initiate this one quickly here, or they will lose plenty of time here. This team is just slowly opening the gap or the distance, and yeah, Cole bends behind that mountain, so he'll be out of sight and out of mind for a little bit here, and they might have really just missed their key opportunity. This could be the catalyst that sets them back. Oh yeah, they're really looking for this one now.
And I saw them kind of looking back in the mini-map with the arrows, but I'm not sure with the line of sight that they actually spotted them out going on the chase. Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo have rotated from Supernova Academy. They're trying to isolate Cooper on the north side. This has been their strategy all season long. They have it uncontested, or at least they thought so. No damage onto Cooper just yet up until the tail end. Only about 30, so he reunites with Curly. Both trios converging back into one another, making sure they don't take too many early game risks. And this is what I'm talking about, the mental games that are going on with some of these teams. Everything that they've practiced for up until this moment has changed for the most part. The way they're getting surged, the way they're able to push teams and getting eliminations, both of these teams for that matter.
Hey, very methodical too. Clicks continuously bringing and carrying along those extra heals for the fight too. So they're pretty much prepared for everything to happen here and unfold, possibly even go the distance in the storm. That was very interesting to say the least. Bryce Skittles Dash haven't quite caught a break here in the last 2 tournament days. I mean, even this one here, you can tell only 4 points earned on the day. Some of which just in this game. That's single easily.
Makes you wonder if it was this fight here that they were able to get that first knock. I only see 2, King and Void on the other side of this exchange. Not too many other players in the mini-map, maybe one far off to the east as Bryce takes a little bit more damage. No shield going to be remaining. Just a little bit of his HP gone as well. And Skittles just creates a path for him to return. They're going to heal up, feel a little safe. Assess the situation. Is it worth fighting out this duo? And I do think it is, or at least for now. They haven't used too many materials, but the loot that they have lost in their loadout, you see a couple of empty slots. That's what they hope to gain out of this transaction.
Nice little shield crack right there. I was going to say almost caught some toes there out to King, but the Bills come out. And honestly, 3v2, huge HP lead, should be wrapped up pretty quickly. Things are not going in Muzz and Shadow's favor, and this is what happens when you start to force the engagement, right? Almost a little too overextended, given that they were trailing behind that other team, and now Smiley, Chimp, and Salt here seem to come out ahead. This is bad, though. They were already off to, one might say, a really slow start, but then losing a teammate, right? So losing a damage there that they would have otherwise gained as well is just, this is just, yeah, bad for Muzz and Shadow's trio here.
Let's look at the other side of that coin, though. Clicks Yamzo Higgs. They actually stole that Spire wave from Reek, Cooper, and Curly, rotated back over Supernova Academy to catch one of them off guard. Gray is still there in the distance. They think somebody is going to be on high ground. You see the Superman sprite being used to laser out the builds, and I do think they might have gotten a knock. Yes, they do, on to Preston. 2 of the 3 members down. Higgs goes to clean it up. He takes an immense amount of damage. Yamzo as well, but Clicks is able to save the day, get that elimination. That's the 3rd player of that trio. They're wiped and sent back to the lobby.
Couldn't have asked for a better time Siphon either. Right there to really just keep him alive for a moment. Click 6 Yamzo, they have so much ground to make up if they want to at least end this tournament with a good showing. You know, the win might be out of the question, but at the end of the day, those standings stay forever. We haven't seen them really be this off, you know, a tournament win all year. So there's going to be a time to kind of, you know, drop the ball and have a bad one. It's now, right? It's not before globals. So save the good stuff for globals.
I can kind of agree with that, especially since they have less pressure than most of the teams, especially coming into day 2. Not necessarily high up on the leaderboard, so they can kind of just play a little bit more calm, cool, collected, comfortable to what they practiced. As Kanata Bolts Rapid doing the same thing, game after game, they build up, they immediately look towards this side of the map, where Blake, Diego, and Oliver usually end up in a priority position on top of the mountain, trading off Surge back and forth. But Diego, Oliver, and Blake, they're the ones out of these two teams that kind of run into struggles just like this, with more and more teams from the south, from the western parts of the map that usually traverse over in their direction and end up third-partying or at least threatening their position.
Not a hint of metal in Oliver OG's loadout right now. They don't have much heavy mats to work with. Not sure what all's happening here in this early game, but they seem to be off the pace for end game. Jigs Trio not moving a cent here. They're like, nah, you guys can get going. We're gonna chill here for a second.
It's not going to be too hard for them to get on out. Oliver has to be careful trailing behind, but back on over here. They eventually had to go back for that reboot card. Muzz gets boxed up. He is in misform, but down onto Salt. He needs to siphon, but it doesn't come in time. Now Shadow's going to be left by himself. 20 HP, 1-tick zone. They beam right through those builds and take them down, and that has got to feel like a heartbreaker for Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx, because they are in second place when it comes to that global championship slot.
That elusive 28th positioning. Once again, they fall there. That's the second time today they fall in the early game here. And they're coming off the win. That win put them right back into the conversation. But you know what? If you're a VG Money Rise, if you're Booga Threats and Craze, you're clapping your hands, you're stomping your feet, you're sitting up straight, you know, you're feeling good about this right now. That's that immediate competition off the track now.
And this kind of almost goes into kind of, well, I think we were talking about it during group stages, to where you're in a position where Vive, G Money, and Rise, it's almost good that you have that much experience, and especially a leader like Rise, because we talked about how sometimes when you're in that position where you really don't have to do much, don't have to make too much noise on the leaderboard, just play your game out like normal, sometimes that does something in your mental. You change up the strategies and sometimes make a mistake. As Cole, Monty, Scuffies, they were the ones we saw rotate out of this direction. They're getting lurked on by Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts. They get the 3-2-1, but luckily for them, they spotted them out at the last second. Not too much game-changing damage is going to be received, so they're going to have a chance to kind of defend this spot.
I'm saying Rapid's going to initiate the misform to the top. No. End up giving it up. Little risk assessment there. No, sometimes you got to know when to pick and choose your battles, and with Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts so positioned right now to actually win the tournament here, I don't blame them for backing off here.
Especially when the zone is going in that direction. I agree with you there. It's too much risk, not enough reward if they did want to take a fight just like that. Read about Golden Ritual. Kind of going back into the storm, floating around Utopia City. They're just trying to rotate. As the zone pushed everybody from the western side of the map in, they know that's going to be the congested, the stack side overall. So they're just sacrificing some HP, sacrificing some of this damage and time overall, so that way they can get a slower rotation in, where it's not as congested as every other side. But that looked like a far pull, so it might be a little bit more congested than they first hoped.
I'm going back to the drop map. I'm trying to see. This is a really interesting rotate for them to go all the way eastern and play the outskirts. It's almost as if, I don't know, they're trying to like get onto someone's side of the map. Is it the right call? Is it not? We'll just have to find out who they end up crashing with here soon.
I'm wondering right now, like, I got Bubble Shield coming out of Acorn right now. I know he's probably one of the best IGLs that thinks in and outside of that box, but Bubble Shields with no mobility, but he picks up the Surf Cube. Just making sure to stay safe. Bubble Shields alleviating some of the pressure. Turning to Scare, just getting tagged up a lot by Curve, just basically have him drowned out. He tries to misform away, but it's just seconds too late. Tyler's there, speeds up that second down onto Magma. 2 of the 3 players of that trio are down. Causer's trying to run away, It looks like they each had their fun.
So highlight for them there. Pick up some points. Visual breaks and diminish though. Team that's very much in the conversation right now. 385 coming into the game. 122 on the day. No simple task from them. You know, earning some points here. Definitely putting up a few elims.
Kind of get that priority position here. They haven't had to move too much all game long. They kind of concede that island to Agers, Acorn, and Pollo. It's not worth the risk fighting against one of the best teams in the lobby, especially when they can get mountain ranges elsewhere for their surge. Buka Crazy Threats pretty quick to rotate out of Utopia City, kind of realizing the zone was pulling further and further away. They can't necessarily hold that same triangular formation that they do in most of the games when the zone pulls towards the center of the map. But you got to trust in Buga. Threats, Craze, they're very, very quick. They're calculated about where and why they rotate out, and they immediately build one of those towers that they have over towards Utopia, extending the distance to make sure they have covered as much of the render distance as possible.
Back to the floodgate. Hayes close in the arms go. They're kind of right in between somewhat of a deadly triangle, right? You have Acorn's team up top. You saw Peterbaugh's team not really too far off, kind of playing this outside eastern rotate too. So you have to wonder, this is definitely the right call right now to start repositioning back into the zone here.
Last time I remember taking the rotation yesterday, they found an elimination on that team using the zip line. Luckily for them, nobody floating around. They get over the Foxy Bridge, underneath the island. This is where they're kind of hoping it kind of pulls in their favor, but you see it goes a little bit more towards the south, kind of forcing Agers, Acorn, and Pollo off of the island in the direction of those mountain ranges between G Money, Rise, and Aviv. They haven't had too far of rotation so far in this game, landing over towards Outpost. They did get that one elimination. The only question mark I have for a team like this is what is their Storm Surge like overall?
Strategy yesterday was to just play slow and steady. They were one of the few teams that I think were doing, just fine, kind of exchanging with rifles, not necessarily jumping onto players. But look at the feed. Agers finds clicks with a quick knock. We already saw that was far north there. We knew that Agers team was obviously securing that island there. So that top-down vertical view gets picked up. Back in the game here.
Oh, wow. I was waiting for it to update. I thought it was going to kind of fly upward, but 146 below the damage threshold. Another game where they're not able to find their footing in terms of being able to accumulate that damage. And then you include the fact that this game, unlike some of the others, is pulling far towards the south. So they're not even really able to get a track on some of these teams that are trying to beat them on the rotation. Up above, they have to watch out. Across the water, they have to be wary of another team, even on the mountain ranges. Luckily for them, they're literally a hop, skip, and a throw away from the zone where they can easily find their spot in with just one dash.
And they've used a lot of dashes, though. They've just continued to kind of replenish it on the way. So that's just showing you how dangerous of a spot they found themselves in. Not even just being below the surge, but just almost out of pocket, out of position. Acorn Pollo Agers much more comfortable than the counters. Look at this. They just can't catch a break. Cold Ritual and Peterbaugh back and forth, almost like a tug of war when it comes down to their positioning in the lobby. Almost sent right back crawling, but they managed to kind of recover here and situate themselves back into it. But I thought for a moment there we would have seen an early knock.
Uh-oh. You see why they're crashing right now. They're below the damage threshold. They went after the first team they saw. Coincidentally enough, that's Kanata Rapid and Bolts. And it's active surge, 25 damage every 7 seconds. You almost got to pop double minis just to give yourself a chance at 50 shield. You see huge chunks of HP missing out of Clicks and Yamzo as well. Higgs is the only one with HP intact. He's trying to pop those bigs, but they have not gone ahead and stepped any bit closer to getting damage on a Kanata.
Look at them, Kanata's team kind of waiting for the opportunity to fight back. Higgs jumps out. He breaks off to look for a new opportunity here. And this is just not good at all. 46 below. Couldn't catch a break, and their team fall once again, just a little bit early.
Really unfortunate. But right before that, Lee Cooper and Curly, they found a team just sneaking around. It's just kind of one of those wonders to where when you're below surge, you have less and less control over your game plan. You're almost forced to fight teams no matter who they are on the other side, no matter what position they're in. And on the other side, Cooper, Reed, and Curly, they're able to sit back, relax, kind of let that team hit that brick wall, fire shots, trade through, and another team's looking like they're hitting that same speed bump.
The holder here, our Reed kind of recoups here. Only 184 above, though. They will have to fight here. Another team jumps in from behind them. It's a full team hop. And Cooper forced to miss for him. Luckily, they do have control of all these builds here. He'll escape for a second. Somehow Curly buys a little bit of time, and not long enough here. All up to Cooper right now. Can he at least get one of these trades? No. They secure the loot back off. This is bad.
Yeah, that was the quick stat curse. I'm going to call that one the quick stat curse. They were just talking about Cooper, Reed, and Curly. 3 back-to-back second places in a row. The first time ever in NAC finals. A blink of an eye, it goes away. Reed and Curly just get down, knocked out of the competition for this game, leaving all the pressure onto Cooper. And there's not even very many placement points and points overall dished out through these teams in this game, so they have a mountain to climb if they want to continue to keep their position in the top 10 intact.
Stats guys, like, let me show you why it's not 4 back-to-back-to-backs. Oh man, it do be like that. Look at this, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual position above Kanata's trio. Okay, anything can happen here and now. Here comes that lobby focus. This is what we saw before.
Yeah, I feel bad for any team that's like in the backside of the zone. Especially, you see how stacked it is on the southern edge. Kanata finds the opening onto Cyclops. His teammates might be there, but I'm not sure the chances
They need it.
of getting that one. As Bolts does get the cleanup. Even Cold getting it down onto Fleeks. They go in for the loop. They're having to use their misforms. Rapid from one side, Bolts from another. They had to take 2 different approaches, try to get anything. I'm not sure what they were able to grab because I know Beeb's team also moved into the mix to try to steal away what wasn't theirs. Sometimes it might be worth the risk. HQ sneaking around, gets that first shot on the Rapid. Oh my, Rapid, well-placed shot to fire back, gets the elimination. That was one of those scares right there.
You just don't know what's waiting for you on the other side of the wall. That's crazy. You know what? For a moment there, Kanata's trio was almost flirting with not enough damage on the surge numbers there, but they put up the damage. You find that elim, and you know what? They bought themselves a little bit of time, but that overall was a very close one here for Game 9. Remember, folks, after this, there's just 3 more games ahead of us, then we're going to crown a champion. Kanata's team is in the race right now. Rise, G-Money, and Aviv not too far off, depending on how big of a game they can make here. We are inside the top 15. Peterbot's going to fall here. Cole's going to find one, but they are going to get the pickup just in time. But the laser comes through, and it's Kanata's trio from the low ground looking upwards as well. But they were distracted, and then they get eliminated instead.
Just a wild series of events from game to game to game. This FNCS final, they really dodged one there, able to get the revive. And here comes that kind of crash play right before it happened. This is what happened with Peterbot going down. It was Aaron on the other side. He got the down onto Peterbot. Luckily though, Ritual and Cold in the same box, hip to hip. They're able to save the day. Haven't tuned in with them in a while. Second place team coming into this game, Agers, Acorn, and Pollo. It looks like for now, they're going to be the teams that are inching closer and closer towards that high ground. It's really dependent on where this next zone pulls.
This is perfect. Pollo, Agers, Acorn, it's like they're playing a completely different game. Oh, we tune in with them? Silence, comfortability, high ground, medallions, loot. Like, it's just so different of a situation when you put yourself in the key positions to succeed. You really do see a night and day difference. You almost feel it in the ambience and the atmosphere. But here's something that's, once again, a fact. Bolts and Rapid are standing. and it's just a matter of time of whether or not they can go the distance here. One of the few that can be the champions here come the end of this. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual well above the damage threshold, so this is just all about consistency and end game placements now. But Peterbot fighting his way through the make round. We know what that means. He's here to hunt. Cold dashed into that box too. They were ready to commit.
Peterbot just yoinks him in with the exotic outlaw, making sure that they're able to grab the body. That's why you see sometimes he just sits in some of those boxes, not necessarily to get all the damage in one shot, but just to pull them closer and closer. That way Ritual Gold to try to clean this one up. 19 above the damage threshold. You talked about Bolts and Rapid being a duo. They're almost, like, I think 31 points out of first place to start this game, and it's because of opportunities like this. When one of them goes down, they never call it quits. Rise, G-Money, and Aviv talk about trying to get to the Global Championship to start this game. They were in third place on the Global Championship leaderboard qualification outside of Mud, Shadow, and Sphinx. But them going down early have definitely turned the tables. Placement points are coming in. I think they might have stolen that spot back.
Hey, Sam, but someone's got to stop Aegis, Boyo, and Acorn. If you don't, I mean, it's literally their show right now. Ritual's going to fall here to their exact hands. The pressure coming up from top down is just too much to handle. And Peterbot forced into the ultimate low. Now, literally burning through his builds here, and they just aren't comfortable enough here. What was looking like a lead being built is just getting sniped away now by Aegis and the team.
And look at Aegis. Look at where Aegis is focusing this entire time. Right on the Cold, right on the Peterbot. He's looking like they were trying to get aggressive, but that got cut short. Burning through the materials. Now with an open opportunity, Scuffies is going to be the name on that list that gets checked off. Peterbot gets the elimination. The Medmist smoke is down. He has some time here into the zone, but that also makes him a target. That green mist, it's like a beacon from a lighthouse. Aegis, Acorn, and Poyle continue to put that pressure down from above.
Look at tracking too. Cold finding Elings as well as players are dashing and misting all around them. Him and Peterbot doing it best here. And look, taking lead now, opening up the targets here. G-Money and Aviv, though, have to play this one out just by themselves as well. And he's inside the storm. Finds a little relief, though, from the Medmist. There's a player there waiting. He doesn't even have time to fight back. There's just pressure happening. And look at the moves. How bad do you want it? He's showing us he's here to play. King and Phaser now continuing to pop off here today as well. Doing an excellent job into the box to support King now. But Cold is finding all the tags, and another one presents himself. There's the knock. And you wouldn't even tell he's in the storm because the siphon is feeding him.
I don't think he got the last few of those knocks, though. That means he's on the clock, has to make his way in. He did so much damage. He took down so many teams. Everybody else in this game, Monster, is a solo. I know what you're thinking. They already have 3 wins so far. Could a 4th be out of reach? Nah, it's definitely within their grasp, and they're dropping down to take it. Aegis, Poyo, they know what position they're in. Ozone taking damage. He goes down to Cold. 2 solos left on that low ground, and Curve is next on that list.
Cold is just going. At this point, he's like, yeah, you guys might win the game, but I'm here to win the war. He's going at it, finding points. Finally now he gets taken out of 3rd place. Boyo, Aegis, and Acorn are on a run of a century. Curve may have gone to the top, but it's only a matter of time. There it is, just shy of a 10 elimination game. They do it once again.
That was absolutely perfectly played at the end of the day. You said it, 9 eliminations to win 101 points out of that game, and dropping down Cold, Peterbot, and Ritual outside of the top 2, denying as many points as they can. That's the only way they can control the game. But throughout that end game, Monster, I was watching Aegis, and he was just targeting Peterbot and Cold down below, from hard mats to the wood, from inside of the zone to the outside. He did not give up on trying to take down that team.
Yeah, right there. This is the catalyst where it all kicked off. And, you know, it just really shows you that Aegis, Boyo, and Acorn sticking to their original strategy at the Demon's Domain is just paying off in dividends. I mean, clearly, it's just preparation meets the best skill, right? Like this lobby has to offer, and their strat is so consistent. And for them to win another game, that's just insane. You don't see that on the NA very often.
Yeah, 4-game wins so far for the team. You have to imagine with 101 points throughout that game, they have to be in first place, but I only trust Zeke to let us know.
I'm gonna pass out. It's fine. I hold on one moment. All right, I'm good. All right. Oh my gosh. So I think the record we've seen in a Grands is like 6 BRs, right?
Yeah.
We are reaching critical mass here from Pollo, Acorn, and Agers. Guys, it's crazy that like whenever they go on to win these games from high ground, it always looks like the exact same way. They just have control. They have so many mats. They've taken literally everything at their disposal. And they've like min-maxed the efficiency, the usage of what they have, the builds, the heals, the ammo, the locations. It doesn't matter where Zone's pulling. They are ready to strike at the perfect time. Oh my gosh, Kelly. We have to see 2 more wins from them, right? If we get 2 more wins, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it.
We do need 2 more wins, although I do want to correct myself. I agreed with you there. And actually, Coyote today got 8 victory royales over the 2-day span for Asia. So I do think that they hold the record for the most victory royales in a major finals. But Pollo, Agers, and Acorn are definitely doing their best to be able to get up to that number. They're not going to be able to get 8, but they could potentially get close enough. Pollo, Agers, and Acorn, we've seen them do this time and time again, being able to control the high ground so easily, so that it almost looks like there's just a solo player on the high ground, whereas Agers and Pollo are down below getting those eliminations, because that's where they've fallen just a little bit short of Pirtobot's trio from day one. They may have the placements, but they need those elims, and that's exactly what they brought.
I swear, though, their wins, it seems like they're getting assists from, like, all of these mountains. I feel like Zeke was right? It kind of feels like deja vu. Every single time we see one of these wins, there's, like, one of these snowy mountains next to them that they do such a good job of utilizing and making sure that they're obviously well established off of that natural terrain over there. But, yeah, it's just rinse and repeat every single time. I mean, Acorn's just kind of holding it down up there, making sure they make the right rotations. He's like, guys, give me all of your heals. And Agers and Pollo just go crazy.
Guys.
What?
You have to see these standings. You have to see these standings.
Oh, we're going to do it now.
We're going to do it now!
Oh. Yo.
We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about it.
New to the big city?
Yeah.
I'm Mara.
Hi. Apparently Progressive lets homeowners and renters bundle with their auto policy. 24/7 protection for all of my things. Hey, I love that you protect all my stuff, but could you tone down the creepiness?
Sorry. I'd do anything for you, Emily.
Still creepy.
Right.
Dawn Patrol starts with a Celsius. Health is wealth, baby. Through the impact zone, that's cardio. Down the line, that's meditation. Straight to my shift. Do the rounds, get the lowdown, set a broken wrist, breathe, fuel. Rounds again. Pressure, blood pressure. Clock out, clip in. Do it again tomorrow.
We're taking them all down. Don't worry about it. If we stick together, we can...
No killing outside of an official round.
Faster to go by canoe.
Mine's bigger.
You gotta pull your weight. This pillow fort ain't gonna build itself.
It's not about the damage. It's about how strong you come back from it. New Dove 10-in-1 Serum Hair Mask refills what's lost to damage. Hair reborn stronger from 10 signs of damage. New Dove.
The Honda Civic behind me is next level awesome. And it's a hybrid.
It's game on with a 200 horsepower hybrid powertrain. Plus, it comes in a hatchback. Now this is fun to drive.
top line?
This is a quality, comprehensive exam.
Come again?
You asked me to top line it for you.
Okay. Bottom line?
Well, the bottom line is this is an amazing value. What? Get 2 pairs of progressives and an eye exam starting at just $159.95 at America's Best.
Let's have a break and then we'll be back for back. Can we just like talk for the next 10 minutes? You get like enough to put like a shoulder on, but he's still for some minutes.
difference. So there's just so much on the line, which includes those global championship spots, which kind of leads me to kind of start the conversation of, you always talk about first place landing on second place or vice versa. Now imagine the lead is so far ahead from Booga and the next best team underneath. Maybe they start to control their own destiny.
That's exactly what I was thinking. When are these other teams going to just go out there and take note of what the best of the best are doing? I mean, very clearly, Fortnite's almost evolving. It's becoming the norm that you can just go ahead and do plays like that. Not only is it interesting for us, the spectators, but it is best interest for you, the player, too. So yeah, Booga Threats and Craze really want it. I mean, it might just make sense. Hey, Aviv, G Money, you gotta go. Rapid Kanata Bolts, you know what? You gotta go, right? Like, someone's gotta stop these other teams too if you want to make it to globals. That's the most prestigious thing that's on the line here, besides, of course, the trophy.
Just 3 more games to get that job done, Monster. It sounds like a lot, but it truly, really isn't. Just 3 different opportunities. You can't make too many mistakes. Eliminations are a must, as Neko. Liam and Zabi over at the first order. They do have 2 eliminations so far, so they're not able to take down the full trio. Somebody around here might be floating around trying to get those reboot cards, but at least for them, they were not only able to get the 8 points for the eliminations, push that team out, and give themselves a chance here to start to loot up and play out the full game and not waste any time.
I spent a lot of time fighting his team the last game, just kind of lurking about. Seems like he might be looking to set things up very similarly, but Power Blue's onto this time, not playing that water's edge, sticking hip to hip a little bit more closely, given how quickly they were sent back to the lobby last game.
I see him though. Yep, I see him there. I saw the 3 different arrows. Acorn, your green does not blend in well enough. Luckily for them, though, he disengages on out. Tries to go ahead and play with the rest of the team. He probably just doesn't see them out there, doesn't like what he has, but clicks Yamzo and Higgs, again, back-to-back games, looking to get aggressive, but it's Peterbot! It's Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo versus Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. They took the fight on over to Brutal Boxcars, and they reached that quickly because of the railing.
I'm trying to figure out why. What's going on here? Where's the personal vendetta in this one? You're probably thinking like, hey, you remember that Major 2 finals thing that happened? Yeah, let's go talk about that. Come meet me at the boxcars. And they're just here to mess around, putting some tags down. Nothing really turned out from it just yet. I doubt they stick around much longer.
I want to say that, but at the same time, this FNCS has me in a loop, trying to predict what's going to happen, what are on some of these teams' mind, and another one right there. Clicks is just dropping down, closing the distance, but this is where it gets a little dicey and even a little risky for Clicks, Yamzo, and Higgs if they want to continue to push this. Inside of those buildings, there's so many twists, turns, places that you can hide that it is a little bit of a risk to continue to fight it in, but it does look like that's the only thing on their mind right now.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? That whole tweet about Peterbot's gonna fight everyone who wants to Spire. Well, guess what? We want the Spire. We're not good with just top 10. Clicks and team want to fight for more. You gotta respect them for trying to do so. Here it is. Clicks goes in, but Peterbot is smart and sharp. A big tag there is gonna put Clicks on the back foot. Now it's Peterbot's world.
This was a huge part of Clicks, Yamzo, and Higgs' game plan up until Peterbot decided to land over here. They fought for this fire. They pushed teams out. And now the tables have turned coming into this major, and they're trying to stick back to what works. And that's just fighting for the Brutal Boxcars while taking their loot. They didn't take too much time to try to make this play happen, but you said it yourself, the tables have been turned from one well-placed shot out of Peterbot. He does it again. Down goes the Yamzo from one side to the next, keeping everybody on their toes, and he continues to deal a huge amount of damage. Yamzo is going to be the next one hurt. Clicks is now by himself as a solo. 3 mean dogs staring him out, and they're ready to take a bite out of him, but he's fighting back. First shot's going to land, but it's not going to be enough. You got to give him an A for the attempt, but you got to give Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot an S+.
I can hear Baxity now yelling King Peterbot and all the other kind of words. You know what it is and what time it is. Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold are here to play, and you know what? That's 12 more points for them as well. You can scratch that 1-point lead. It is what it is, and that's a crazy fight. And you know what? You have to, again, respect Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo. They need to do something more because what's happening up north against Reed, Cooper, Curly, that isn't working either, right? So to mix things up, you know what? It is very entertaining, to say the least.
That's literally putting it lightly, too, as HQ Leaks just trying to survive. Their duo here rotating around this side of the map. They kind of led over towards the left, the snow biome over on the same southern pool. And you can see why there's not a lot of loot down there, especially since the team is on top of the mountain. But HQ is fighting for his life. Only one build left on the both of them because Leaks is in the same spot. He lands a good shot on the blue, dashes out. He's trying to create distance while his teammate Cube is able to actually get the knock. Not able to clean it up, though. That's going to be the biggest difference maker.
Yeah, got to get those finishes, but this team does live to see another day. Just overall having a pretty tough tournament day, though. See those points not necessarily in their favor.
Yeah, I like this right there. He was able to get the down and just... Unfortunate enough, he knew they were right behind him. Low HP, not able to clean it up. Has to use the misform to disengage, but I do like the scrappy attempt to try to survive a fight like that, which they are going to. Shadow, or I should say Curve, Tyler, and Josh trying to fight on the southern end of Canyons Crossing on top of that mountain range. And this is where it gets a little dicey because if you haven't prepared for this fight, you are going to burn through a lot of your materials very quickly.
They're just cranking up right now, but look at this slow side angle here from Curve. Oliver OG doesn't even look to claim it. It just gets down with his team, but they have control of these builds. I'm not sure what all is going down here, but Oliver OG and Blake are losing the plot right now for sure. These are not their builds. How do you end up in all of this just territory of your opponents on a single layer? But it seems like they kind of re-control things for a second there. Oliver OG fighting back now. Horse and Tyler, Curve and Josh to regroup. This is right at the edge of the Canyons Crossing, so there's going to be no one here to bail them out.
There's going to be a third team. I wonder if anybody even saw them kind of lurk in, because I know they're crouched down in the distance. Trying to sneak up, trying to figure out where that opening to the cover is at. They're striking now, and they get good damage onto Josh. Tyler was already weak, so if they continue to push in, that would be the opening that they're looking for. But you hear the misform come out. They're just going to disengage on out. Blake and Diego also creating a little bit of distance so they don't get pushed out of here. But overall, full trios up on top are going to be safe, and Curve and his trio down below are going to create some distance.
Just watching it all go down. Oliver OG, Diego, Blake pushing to try to finish up what they started here. Those fresh builds, that's all the information they need right here. Protecting the back right now.
Good minis, no mobility though. Kind of the give and take you kind of have landing on this side of the map. Not as many access to some of those dash sprites. If you don't get a cape, it's almost good luck to you. As Blake and them continue to go around the outside of this map. They kind of funnel themselves downward towards Canyons Crossing, and they have one team behind them they were originally facing. There's another team, a fourth overall team on the other side of Canyons Crossing spraying into this direction. Just make it hard for either one of these two teams down below to build confidence in this fight.
Still looking though, Josh, Tyler, Curve, not here to give up just yet. Seem to have kind of regrouped, but look, no material, Jacob. Do they take the fight? Do they try to just gather elsewhere?
Risky to do anything. You continue to fight, third parties are there. You disengage, third parties are there. Well, guess what? There was 4 teams. Well, let me introduce you to team number 5 on the eastern side of the mountain and team number 6 to the southern side of the mountain. Might as well just converge on this location, which surprises me because you see the zone pulling all the way towards the north. You'd think players want to be proactive to try to get there, but nah. They need damage. They need eliminations. They're trying to close the gap. Oliver OG is going to be the first one dropped. Curve is going to get credit for that one, but in the blink of an eye, he gets taken down as well. Diego and Blake are forced to fight right back.
Not gonna lie, just moments ago I was like, yeah, no one's gonna come down to the Canyons Crossing. Who's gonna bail you out? And then everyone shows up. I just can't wrap my head around this. The zone's not even near this area, but somehow this has become the attraction point for team after team, and this couldn't be going down in a worse area because they all get to look down on you and put that pressure in. But hey, Diego, Oliver OG come out on top. They still catch a couple elims. So it will work in their favor nonetheless.
And I think because of those two teams, basically one team winning out, the dust settling, the zone pulling towards the north, you're essentially forcing them to go their separate ways, especially being this early in the game, haven't really been able to get your loot, your resources, and everything that you need. The island this time around pulling on over to this side of the map. Kind of makes me question why King, FaZe, or PHN weren't the ones to go for it. So they kind of concede it to a whole nother team on the other side, but they're still making their way over in that direction. I think the way this game has been played out with Peterbot sneaking on over to Lone Wolf, Clicks lurking on over to Lone Wolf, they kind of are just having that double take. Maybe in the back of their mind, they're just worried about teams just hiding anywhere at all.
Yeah, just kind of living in the memory of the game before. You get caught off like that, definitely will do something to you. Booga's not see visuals right there? Oh, I was going to say, okay, he's behind the mountain. But of course, that visual nameplate, I'm like, wait, was he at the tree and just glanced at him?
Ooh, I like a first. I like a story here. Craze has the chance to qualify his first FNCS LAN. I'm here with it, along with one of the greats, Booga, Threats, and him, longtime teammates. They have the chemistry, and that's why Kelly kind of broke it down perfectly. They're kind of missing something as a part of their team. They pick up Craze, and it's just new life, new resurgence. Trust in Booga, the IGL. Threats, you know he can get all the damage in the world, and Craze is kind of that clutch player, the fragger that just gets him out of some tight spots like they did to close out Game 1 yesterday, or Game 6.
It definitely will be a nice little storybook finish to his year's end. Can you get that first land in the books? Almost set up the next generation for the new year to come. That would be a big deal for Craze. And Curly underneath the island right now. Plenty of teams kind of in the vicinity, but we're just going to keep a low profile, get the recharges going as they need.
I'm actually surprised that shrine is even still accessible. Probably the team down below just went straight up top, kind of gave it up, left it for free. They prioritized the medallion, but that's some superhero upgrade. That's some loot that pops out of there. And then replenishing the dashes if you used any. But the zone pulled towards the north, so instead of Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts going on the hunt for their surge on each side of the map, just kind of based up perfectly the island north of Crime City. You can kind of see the near edge of the zone there on the bottom right-hand corner. So it is pulling not only towards the north, but to the northwest overall.
Yeah, you see how prepared they are. Like, just as Kanata was kind of making his ascent up that base there, I mean, so many minis, heals. Look at the base of the mountain, just everything you can really need, of course, to go for trades, go for tags, kick things off here. Agers, Acorn, trying to make a move right now for better positioning. They're going to be in the crossfire of Kanata.
Not too bad. Going into this game, though, I want to point out Agers, Acorn, Pollo in the lead by 1. But due to that Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot fight on Eclixiamzo and Higgs, they scored 12 points. So now the lead shifts back on over to Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual in motion by 11. I'm not going to be able to keep score all game long, especially as we head towards the end game. But it just goes to show how back and forth it has been, not just yesterday, today, but each and every game and each and every minute that passes throughout those games. And Aviv, Rise, and G-Money, they're feeling that same pressure. Very, very different than their counterparts at the top of the leaderboard, but they're in 4th place. 454 points so far going into this game, and they have a little bit of a cushion. About a 41-point lead over Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx, who are directly on their heels.
Yeah, I just feel like the difference for Acorn's team has been really their ability to execute high ground. They have just gotten it, held it. They've done it at the perfect amount of distance between themselves and the other layers. Like, they're making it look very, very straightforward. I mean, we tuned in last game, and like I said, there was almost an eerie silence and ambience because they were on the dead side of the rotation there and with a little bit of elevation, and no one, not a single team was able to give them a little bit of resistance there. So just their execution and their ability so far to play for height has been so excellent.
Essentially one pumps him, takes him down. Another elimination, 4 more points. So depending on the eliminations, Acorn's team, 15-point lead, continuing to grow. That's where they do that trick, use the dash, use the launch pad, immediately making their way on over towards that island. And even though it's not up now, you know as well as I do, there's that little circle that knows, like, hey, he's in this vicinity. That's, I think, what they're looking for here.
Looking for something. A little light at the end of the tunnel. Peterbot, Ritual Coldale setting up right now. Let's see what's going on here with Aoxy. You've got a minute for Breeds and Visuals, possibly insight here. Ooh, below the surge threshold, though, Jacob, at the Crime City.
Yeah, I feel like those... Obviously, the 3 eliminations matter, but they don't matter as much as eliminations through the mid-game, because that's off spawn. That's only 300 damage. It gives you enough flexibility to rotate through some of these early zones, but when we get towards 5th, 6th, 7th zone and on, you can see that the inability to be proactive to get surge kind of hinders your game plan, takes a little bit less control away from the teams. 152 below, and it's falling further and further, because now they have to continue to rotate in towards the northwestern side of the map, to where, yes, they're going to get closer to some of these teams, but they're going to be on the heel of these teams where they have a little bit of advantage being able to look back, just like Visuals, Braids, and Diminish are doing.
Yeah, they have proven, Aoxy, JoJo Pikes, that they could be a great endgame team if they could just make it there. We'll see how far they can push it this time. Visuals, Braids, and Diminish, they have a lot of work to make up for. This is going to be scary either way, and like we said, you got to get to endgame first, though. Visual, Braids, and Diminish with the excellent counter-attack there. And they win not only a boatload of damage, but look at the material refresh for them. This is really good, too, thinking about these mountains that might come into play right now. So, kind of perfect, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the lobby is hoping it continues to pull west for entertainment purposes. Maybe we go north towards this mountain. Maybe we go towards the east, change the elevation, but active surge. I was thinking I heard something there with the shields being cracked. When I saw Storm Surge active, I was right to think Aoxy is kind of suffering below the damage threshold, trying to make his way in, and instantly gets deleted. Just a tough situation to be in, but for Visuals, Braids, and Diminish, they get another couple of points for that elimination to keep themselves in stride.
What do you think about this positioning right now? Just on the outskirts, leading with the rotate, the first to kind of actually follow the half in, half out, away from the congested spots. I think this is just what they're doing differently to everyone else that is giving them a night and day end game performance. And it's just like right in front of you. You would have thought that you could have studied that coming out of day one, but maybe you just couldn't because the lack of games. It's kind of crazy to think that they were taken out in 2 out of their 6 runs yesterday, and they still have more victory royales than the entire lobby can even fathom acquiring in a single tournament. This is just incredible stuff. But look at this highlight here as far as replays for Peterbot getting knocked out.
That's revenge. Zabi took down Peterbot. Peterbot took down Neko, rotating through Lone Wolf, and now Cooper is going to be stuck by himself. He's above the damage threshold, but being pressured by multiple teams, forced towards the outside. 5-tick zone, but he's starting his med kit. But Thaddeo's visual skills spots him out and forces him to cancel before eventually goes down to dash. The team keeping those points in-house, making sure nobody is able to steal those away. And that's a great pick-me-up. Maybe your confidence boost deepen. You're able to take down Cole, you're able to take down Ritual, get elimination. They have 6 so far. It might be the second half of the day, but I talked about the life-changing amount of money that is up the leaderboard, and higher you go, the more you get.
Yeah, by far the best game for them so far as performances go. Still see a little glimpse of Muzz's team still alive. Sinetto's trio under Surge, but Features, Acorn, just again, they have this high ground, they have the positioning set up, they're the first to start playing for that little bit of height here, and they're going to be the last to rotate once again and just build right on top of the next group of players. This might lead them to another victory out. I mean, you're watching it potentially just roll out right before you.
You guys kind of saw that stat for a second. This team right here is 1 win away from tying a record that was set by Pollo himself along with Peterbot. 5 wins in NAC through the FNCS Grand Finals. Pollo, I think, wouldn't say he necessarily plays with a chip on his shoulder, but in essence, maybe. All the shine going on over to Peterbot during their incredible and historic run through last year, and he has proven like, hey, I did that too. I was a big part of that team that found that success, and I can do it with you, or I can do it without you.
Look at this, though. Ritual by himself. This is his opportunity. It's his time now to see how far can he push his team ahead. I mean, we saw Cole do, we saw Peterbot do it countless times before in previous tournaments, and Ritual has had his day in the sun, but right now and here, they want to maintain their competitive edge for the back half of the tournament. It's about clutching up. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid are doing just that too. These is big opportunities now to find some points. They absolutely need them. They want to be in contention for the Grand Championship here. Nicely done there. Great refresh, but no heavy mats being yielded out. I mean, at least Bolts is still cap, so not bad at all. The zone's going south. He got a long ways to go here.
Yeah, Ritual being by himself. This is looking like a perfect scenario for a team like Kanata and them if they want to continue to rise up the leaderboard, close the gap that we were talking about in between games. But it's really all to Ritual. Pollo, Agers, Acorn looking like they're staying alive, but their high ground kind of stolen away, but it's only for now. 8th zone, very, very early for anybody kind of cemented as their own. Ritual somehow, some way found that elimination, staying above the damage threshold. That's the most important thing here as a solo.
Let's go, King. Let's see what he got. Ritual's still holding on. That's definitely exciting. Booga, Crazy, and Threats. How badly do they want it? They are still in this endgame right now. This is surely a chip on Muzz's shoulder. Ritual looking back inside the storm. Might actually find another set of eliminations here. That's some wood builds right there. They're going to have to break through. He finds one. That's a huge knock there. Don't forget the other one's extremely weak. And players on the sides, though, he jumps into the storm. The greed kicking in right now, but he knows that he's got the mist form. He's got nothing to worry about. The siphon to keep him up as well.
That's 4 more points. That's 4 more points, keeping this one close between them two. We saw Peterbot clutches. We saw Cold clutches. And now we're seeing an opportunity here at a Ritual clutch as well. Oh, well, I'm not saying I cursed him, but he just went down in the feed to Batman Joe. Visual's Brains and a Menace. They do have the high ground. Visual sacrificing the HP to make sure they have a cemented position in the sky through and through. But they look to the backside of zone. That's Acorn, Agers, and Pollo. A huge threat to any team in this lobby.
Well, I looked away, I looked back. How did diminish? Visuals and Brains get high ground. I mean, that'll be a story for a different day, but game 10 might finally yield out some fresh winners here. This is going up and over the mountain as well. Take a look at how far Ritual managed to push, though. He had a couple elims. He had his chance to, of course, do something big, but the edit was a miss. For that reason, he couldn't exit out fast enough. But hey, he did get placement points as he broke into top 15 there. Pollo, Agers, Acorn opting to go to low ground. This might be a signal to the rest of the lobby that they're here to get some elims here and now. We all know this is how you start to win your tournament games here. How far can you push those points? Not a Bolts Rapid still in the game right now. Being actually focused by Agers Trio across the way.
Yeah, they're just full lobby focusing that team right in front. Just not really wanting them to take a step forward at all. Trying to cut off that path. Their time to rotate has definitely come. Boyle landing a couple of shots right before he used that misform to disengage on out. Making every team that was trying to beat them on the rotation pause and rethink that scenario. As they get to the front side, they go deep into the zone, build some boxes, throw the Menace smoke down. It's a sacrifice they're willing to make because now they have priority over every one of these teams.
Right below them is Kanata's trio once again just looking up, getting a couple little chip damage in there, but Booga's team is also giving them something to think about. But it's the mountain that's kind of playing its course here. Look at how they're starting to get suffocated out, losing a little bit of that mobility, not too much flexibility to rotate through. They're gonna have to go up vertically here. Agers, Acorn, Pollo found another elimination, couple mats here to take on the road, but Bolts and Kanata are still in this game here. Bolts has just been the MVP of this trio, and he is proving why. He could just get a siphon. This will give him a lot of opportunity to make some big plays, but it's Agers, Acorn, and Pollo who are just comfortably running things down low, and it seems like they might be run out of material.
Yeah, great plays by Kanata, essentially clearing the path for Bolts to move through. Front side of the zone, misform finds him there. Medallion changing hands as well. Visual Praise and Diminish haven't been tested. Nobody's able to look up because of all the struggles going on down below. Bolts with the medallion goes up and over, lands another crucial shot onto somebody, but he finally goes down.
still trying to keep this clutch intact for their team, keeping it respectable, trying to overtake Peter Bot Cold and Ritual on that leaderboard.
You saw what he did there. Missed form to the front side. Now putting shots up behind, but the edit was open. He does damage. Boyo and Brett finishes him up. So this is actually evening things out. That's going to unlock him a top 3 at potential second place now. Acorn and Aegis healing in the zone. Visual Braids and Diminish might have jumped down a little prematurely. Aegis comes back, but no, he gets traded out. And now it's just a matter of time as Acorn is waiting this one out inside the storm. Visuals has no idea where he's at. Shots start to come in from the side. And look at that. They're already at 10 eliminations as a trio. And the win is theirs.
They started this game 412 points, and guess what? Back-to-back games with over 100 plus points from a winning team overall. These leaderboards are absolutely being shaken up after every single one of these moments. Even Booga, Threats, and Craze making it far into that game. It's really all dependent when it comes to those global championship teams about how far they go. They're almost playing their separate tournament.
I mean, a win is going to surely be the difference maker to throw Visuals, Braids, and Diminish up into a whole new bracket now, giving a VG Money Rise, definitely a run for their money, right? Like, those are teams that fell a little bit early, Mudshadow and Sphinx as well, so it's going to be pretty competitive. Take a look at it. They were the one taking things into their own hands here. Once they took high ground, they just never looked back, right? We saw almost Aegis and team concede. They took the low ground intentionally at some point, but it handed this team the victory royale in the end.
Yeah, and you can kind of see these mountain ranges that you were talking about while casting to help them control all of that game chaos. But it's a 10th game victory royale. Zeke, what are your thoughts as we have 2 left?
Bro, this is where we want to be, right, Jacob? We want to be getting VRs. We want eliminations, right? If we're trying to play for one of these spots at Global Championships, this is what we want. And with only 2 games left to go, this is huge for the trio, right? We still have 2 games, Kelly. Anything can and will happen. Why did you say
2 more games to go for these teams. There's so many teams that are still within grasp of getting to those global championship spots. Fortunately for Visuals, Braids, and Diminish, they do not need to worry about that. And honestly, I don't think they need to worry about the tournament too much either. They've already proven themselves all the way back from Major 2, where they first time performing on the final stage together, had such a great performance. And then, of course, going into the group stages, getting the first victory royale out of group number 2. It hasn't been necessarily the tournament that they wanted over the last 2 days, but regardless, getting a victory royale in game number 10 is definitely going to be setting up them for the rest of the games.
Yeah, I mean, the show's just been so consistent.
one over. The next one begins. 12 games throughout it all. I said it's a marathon and not a race, but at this stage in the tournament, it's turning into a little bit of a foot race overall between, I want to say, the top 3 teams in the tournament include Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts in that mix as well, because just one mistake could really change things up going into the final game of the day.
Yeah, they might be 100 points away, but again, with a game buffer, they could close that gap and then be in the conversation to close out pretty strongly. Now, this is going to come at the hands of basically a mistake, right, from Cold, Ritual, Peterbot, and Acorns Trios without anything kind of interfering with how consistent they've been. It's going to be tough to ask for anything more than that, but when you start looking at the points and the way the points are being allocated right now, I mean, this is one of the few times I think we've seen Ager's, Acorn, and Pollo's team, I feel like, keep up in a way that they're keeping up right now. Like, we're talking like leading, or if not, basically neck and neck with overall eliminations, which is very hard to do when you have a Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual type trio dynamic, right? Cold and Peterbot, clearly the usual leaders with the Elam game. So I just feel like they've met their match, right? This is the first time on the region as a whole we've seen 2 such dominant trios run away and go head-to-head like this.
I mean, you did ask me a question yesterday. You said, who is going to stop this team? Who is going to stop Peterbot at the incredible run he was having? I said it. I said, looking at the leaderboard, there's teams that are fighting for a global championship spot. There's teams that are out of the running in terms of the leaderboard. I said, if only man himself is Pollo, but you can include Agers, you can include Acorn, but let's give a shout out to Agers. 38 eliminations by himself through these 10 games so far, and it's Pollo who's on top of the damage chart, so they have spots 1 and 2 in terms of elimination and damage, firing on all cylinders. And we were just talking about Kanata's team, kind of just play it out. You don't have to do anything major, maybe average a top 8 placing. They're finding themselves in a similar spot if they could just have one more decent game here.
Yeah, we need to create a graphic that has like a stat card with all of their pros and cons, and just let me see that, because we need to put everyone side by side, man. Agers, I feel like, is just not getting the credit he's been deserving all season long, but this major in particular, he really is showing out, and as has Bolts, right? And that's what's really cool about this. We're seeing the best of the best also shine through when it kind of matters on this global stage here, but this is in setup, of course, for the global championship. I know we haven't seen the best showing from, maybe Clix's trio or even Muzz in his trio in the last game, but they are still in this conversation right now. Talk about Clix and Yamto. Look at this go right here.
Yeah, it almost seems like they're playing with a little bit of emotion intact. Things haven't necessarily been going their way this tournament. They've been kind of switching up their strategy, trying to get Surge from the distance, lurking up on the teams, and overall just being aggressive. And now we're turning back to the aggressive nature. We always talk about how do you close the lead with not enough games left. You have to go on an elimination frenzy. That's one of the only ways, especially 4 points per elimination. Pollo, Agers, and Acorn doing the same thing. They know this team lands down here. This time around, they're able to take advantage. Good damage, and they're keeping them close by. Not letting them heal up, not letting them get any motion in this fight.
Definitely a good set of eliminations right here. Remember, they have to make up a lot of points, right? Like 30 points might not seem like much, but that is a good amount of eliminations in a grand finals type setting. And if you can get them early, this is how you start to pad up your standings here and really give you a run for the top. But also, think about where it positions them on the map, right? Remember, we've seen this before where they start playing these outskirts and try to find themselves, kind of in the line of fire of Peterbot's team or vice versa. So for Acorn, Agers, and Pollo to start getting around, I think it makes sense, right? You got to play fast and move fast almost.
Yeah, even though we kind of look at a team just kind of like, you don't want to turtle up too much. We talk about not wanting to make a mistake, but for a team like that, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual are going to get aggressive. You know they're going to go for eliminations to try to take the win back. So only time will tell to see how this game closes out. But for Rise, Aviv, and G-Money, we always talk about those global championship spots. Only 2 up for grabs in this major on Central. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid, 589 points. They start this game over Aviv, G-Money, and Rise, 71 points. But for them, they're in the lead over Fuga's team by about 60.
Look at a quick replay right here at Superman Laser Beam once again coming into full effect there. This fight starting to come to a close here shortly. Cyclops, VLEX, HQ pushing down Zonda. Now remember, Zonda's team was fall into the hands of Acorn and stuff kind of earlier in the day, but it seems like they kind of mixed things up, but not exactly the best strategy here, as they've just gotten caught off by a different trio instead.
But 4 eliminations so far for a team like this. Good start. Depending on where you place down the leaderboard, each placing grants you just kind of unlocks more and more money. Kind of start to build that chemistry, but Blue is just hiding. They don't know exactly where he was able to disengage from, but he's peeking through that cone. They make one wrong move. He does have the outlaw, so he will be able to down one in quick succession, but it's all about that second one.
Look at the feed.
Ooh.
There's big elims happening right now, potentially as well. All that momentum can change in a moment's eye. Boyo Acorn Agers getting active right now. Things are starting to collide here. This is a real desperate situation for a Mistform to start coming out. They're going to have to hit the reset button here. You have Bryce's team here. This is just outside the contention of multiple trios now. I'm just looking at the map here. Everyone's kind of slowed down for a second right now. Acorn, Boyo, and Agers. What in the W key are we seeing right here? Are they trying to create such a buffer between them and the opponents? Maybe they're enabling a different strategy we haven't seen from Acorn, Boyo, and Agers so far. I feel like this is definitely a little bit more aggressive than usual.
I'm thinking right now. I'm calculating. I'm like a robot. Boop, beep, boop, taking in all the information. It almost seems like they're doing that, trying to isolate eliminations as Cold. Peterbot Ritual, we saw in the feed, they were able to pick this one up on the visuals. Luckily for him, his teammates are still alive overall, but it almost looks like Acorn, Agers, and Boyo are looking for a dead side rotate. They saw the zone shift up towards the north, all the way towards the west. They know every team around their POI, all the way up towards the north, including the east side, is going to rotate on that edge. So they're trying to be quick, fast, and in a hurry. Beat all these other teams to the punch, but it seems like Cold Peterbot Ritual might have that same plan because they're heading right in that direction of the first place team.
No, I think they have a different plan. It's not dead side. It's let's find Acorn. There's only so many places they could be. One little false look to the right and they would have spotted them out. I wonder if Curly Rich was going to go ahead and do that. Peterbot's going straight for the high ground here. It's going to give them all the visibility on the teams that are fighting nearby. Launchpad's here as well to work with. There it is. Seems like they might have actually spotted something out down there.
They know somebody's there, but it's kind of hard. It's a tough situation to be in. I feel like we've seen this before in group stages. How they got Brutal Boxcars uncontested. They use that rift. They're trying to get out. And that's what I was talking about with the lab. It might be hard to get in. Not as hard to get an exit, but they see exactly the direction they are moving in. So they might not try to beeline their direction right to them, but they are going to be hovering and hounding them the entire way through.
I was going to say, you don't really have to, right? All you got to do is hold them out, get into the kind of their directional, rotational areas, and do what you need to do from there. But map knowledge coming through for Acorn, Agers, Boyo. They go straight to the other launch pad. They veer out even further, and look, they're just going pad to pad right now. I think spider senses are kicking in for them right now. They're like, wait, there's danger nearby. We got to go. G-Money. Aviv and Rise, though, still in a bit of a scuffle over there as Acorn, Agers, and Boyo just trying to figure out how to live to see another day right now.
Wait a minute. You see this? You see this, right? They dropped the medallion from Demon's Domain. They know it. You were exactly right, Monster. The hairs on the back of their neck was sticking up. They got the chills. They said, nah. This just does not feel right. And this could be a bait. I wonder if this could be a bait possible play. Either way, they are thinking outside of the box here. I'm hyped.
What is going on right now? He's going back for it. It's either a misplay or some 1,000 IQ big brain play to see if they can bait them into walking into some of their territory. But again, there's just so much happening there, and you could tell that Peterbot Cold was on to their heels. But look at this. They lost Ritual. What happened? Oh, the tides might be turning here.
Oh, the 3-2-1. the team fire enough. Smiley and Salt just get the elimination. And I would say, luckily for them, Monster, there is a reboot van just up that mountain. I think Peterbot is already gaining access to that. The biggest thing that they've lost right here is not only the time to rotate to the zone, but the storm surge, if any, that Rituals has. This might have put them in a peculiar situation when storm surge activates.
Oh, man, I don't even want to know what the comms are like right now. For them to just have the opportunity and then watch it slip before their fingertips, this might just be, honestly, the play that sets them all the way back. Pollo, Acorn, and Agers likely just finding, renewed breath here as they see what's happening. And look at this, pushing right through Alvaro G's team, not because they have to, but because they want to. They can just do that. They have the momentum, they have the lead, they have the points right now, they have the buffer room to work with, and the bigger they can build this lead, the more likely they are to get themselves another championship right now. Pollo's going to put himself, into that 5X conversation, into that GOAT best of the best on NA conversation. It's just happening here and now, right before our eyes.
I'm just waiting for that montage afterwards of Pollo essentially saying, anything you can do, I can do better. You saw the stat, Pollo leading in damage with his team. They went and picked right back up their medallion as well, making sure to keep the entire loot of Demon's Domain intact, finding a couple more eliminations. And as you said, with Ritual going down, them finding more eliminations, they're putting it in a position to where, maybe Ritual Cold and Peterbot can win with an elimination, but how many eliminations? It's almost putting them in a spot where they need a historic game in order to overtake that first place spot.
Just keeping things interesting. Remember, this is only game 11 for the NA finals here for Major 3. Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts. We did all that conversation. We almost forgot about Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts are in the running here as well. But look, they're much more passive, right? At this pace, how are you going to close that gap? 710 points now for Agers, Acorn, and Pollo after all the effort they've kind of put in this round. It's just getting further and further away.
Yeah, you can see they're just continuing to trade shots from the mountain ranges. On the other side, though, have not been able to get Peterbot back on up just yet. Cold, even though it is relatively early, one tick zone, only has the one med kit. It does look like that team is following him. I'm wondering if he kind of drew them out away from the attention of Peterbot and Ritual, because you see them over towards Canyon's Crossing, nowhere in sight so far. You see him on the bottom of the mini-map trying to make their appearance, but he is getting pushed by an entire trio. Cold is going to have to do cold things here.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a tough spot to be in. We've seen Cold already kind of playing in peak form, and you know what? I think he could do it again, but he's playing smart, taking his time here. It only takes one to be well out of place for him to go and initiate something huge there, and that's a bad edit. That's going to give away his spot. He's going to call for backup, but he gets cloned up. Look how quickly he pieces up and finishes him off there. Look at that. Aaron's also lit up too, so... Oh, no. Did you forget a wall, son? That's a huge problem. And Cold is here to just do what he does. Already working around the outskirts. Just a matter of time. Misform, baiting, buying more room, Siphon to kick in, finishes off the teammates just because. And now here comes Ritual to back him up, and then they finish it off. My gosh.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for him to do cold things. I know seasons ago I said he has ice in his veins. They call him Cold for a reason, and that reason continues to exist. And that's just amazing right now, because Cold, we saw him clutch up in earlier games for that top 3 to keep things close, and he does it here again, because we know Agers, Acorn, and Pollo have been going on an elimination frenzy from the south to the western parts of the map, picking up these key points, picking up these refreshes as well, keeping themselves healthy. This is just excellence at its finest. It's Rise of G Money. They get the down onto Booga. And that's a big down for multiple reasons, not just the points, because that's the global championship qualifying race and the team that's on their heels.
Down one goes. Visuals just ticking away. Is there even going to be enough time for the next one to go through? I don't think so. Wait, he had a big hit. Oh, so close yet so far. And, you know, with them falling out, it's not really like they lose much other than big-time prizing and overall, you know, effort, of course, as far as, like, getting this high-quality practice in for setting themselves up for globals. But still, no one wants to fall. When you're inside the 5th place, you're making a run for at least the top 3 there.
Less than 50 points now. Even though they've been slowed down just a little bit, I know they're going to be looking for key opportunities to continue to try to pick up the pace in terms of eliminations. Even Shadow is doing the same thing. Him, Muzz, and Sphinx are still in that hunt. They started this game with 435 points. I want to say around 80 or so points out of reach of that second global championship spot. And with Muzz down, that puts a lot of pressure on Shadow and Sphinx. Not in terms of damage and Storm Surge, but to get their full trio up. They are on the clock right now, 5th zone, 24 seconds until it officially closes. I will say the silver lining got to be in this situation is there are multiple reboats towards the backside of the zone, both on their left and their north side of their original drop spot. So as long as they have some mobility, it shouldn't take too long to get the reboot if they have his card.
Yeah, they're not out of it just yet, but, I mean, it just seems like things have been going downhill since that Victory Royale. 28 plays, 12 plays, which is, you know, pretty big end game, but you're missing out on the bulk of the points, so it's been pretty tough for Sphinx and Shadow to find their footing. See if they can kind of turn things around right now, but one thing's for certain, they got to make it, I was going to say, make a move fast. Depending on how long they've been in the storm, too, though, you got to think about it, Jacob. They might actually catch sickness. Because, you know, once around Zone 7 turns in, if you haven't exited, I mean, that's it. You're cooked.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, too, right here. I'm not sure if he was able to get the reboot card or not, but Shadow, Sphinx, forced to go 2 separate directions. And it's Sphinx who's drawing the attention of Neko, Zabi, and Liam, just hoping and praying that he can get Muzz back on up, and then eventually if he goes down, they can move on over and get his card. But as we tune in, Cole, he did get another elimination onto Broken, bringing their team total to 6, and this is exactly how it happened, Monster.
Yeah, you like hanging out in a surge base? Let's just see what happens when these guys start to target you. And then they initiate the fight. Yeah, they're kind of coming up. Looking for a couple more points here. Why not? Take a stab at it. No healing for Peterbot just yet. Give it a second though. G Money, Aviv, Rise. Pressure starting to build here. The real question is, will they crack? Aviv ends up falling now. Rise super hurt. Medmiss has to come out here. This is, of course, going to be a tell to the rest of the lobby, but at least it gets a recover. Look at that mini-map. My gosh. That's a problem for everyone here at the Shavs.
All the teams that were thinking it was continue to pull towards the north are now having to try to make their way in, which makes that side of the zone pretty congested. You see it going down all the way towards the western edge, even a little bit towards the north as Rise. G-Money, they're able to get healthy there in that situation, but you can see a huge loss in their resources overall. They're a team that is inside of that global championship qualifying bubble, and with 2 games left, hoping to keep that attack with or without Aviv by their side. They know they got to get that job done. Acorn, Koyo Agers, even though they got to rotate, they knew that team was above, and Acorn just peeking through the cone. Vital information for him and his team as they go ahead and extend their position before rotating to zone.
What an end game we're going to be set up for right now. Oyo, Acorn, Agers also leading the pack with these elims too, just really staying in the conversation right now, staying competitive with Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual, who are now positioned up just across from them. They have eyes on what's happening here. It's going to be all rotates coming soon.
Yeah, they're almost like right on that Storm Surge line. We saw them just moments ago, 26, using this elevation before rotation to try to get as much Storm Surge as possible. But with that bird's eye view, they're watching all of these teams start to rotate in, inching further and further away, forcing them to start their rotation. And you see them, instead of just beelining it in, they're continuing to hold that pressure off the top of the mountain. And that's going to give them a clearer picture of what they're working with on that side of the map. But on this side, you said it yourself, it's just so congested here.
Yeah, Peterbot's team was just slightly below right there, but what happens? G-Money takes a huge shot when they exit out, and then the finish of the team has to have been right on top of them. It's Gary and Saul here. Now, Rise does turn around, find elimination. Can he get the second one? These are big and important points. Okay, it's at least going to keep him in the game, but no miss for him. Nothing here to really work with. This is not good. And Rise is going to have to play for another siphon. You might as well heal, do something. Don't sit there and lose time. And Rise might have just given away his global championship spot. We'll come back to check on the standings here later, but for now, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual getting active. Still at 6 eliminations, but they picked up a little more damage now. Bobby starting to focus in on them. Outside rotate, Bryce and team, Acorn and crew. Wow. Yikes. That's all that really can be said out of a situation like that. They go down relatively early. A few placement points, though, in there for their efforts. So with their global championship spot secured, and what could be a legacy in the making on the line for Peterbot, that last game, I have a feeling, Monster, is going to be amazing. It's going to be better than cinema. For the teams that are left alive, Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts, they probably saw them go down. And to enter into this game, it was only a 58-point deficit to overtake that second place spot. Obviously, they increased the lead with a few more eliminations, but there are so many placement points up for grab and the opportunity to get eliminations to close that gap. I'm just thinking about the full picture all season long. We were kind of looking forward to grand finals with the Pollo versus Peterbot clash, and the irony of it has to end that way here for game number 12 if they want a chance to win this major. Now, knowing them, they might just give us the show we're looking for, but for Pollo, Acorn, and Angels, it's just business as usual for them. Because you know what? Deep down inside, Pollo has been the boogeyman. So why sign up for that too is what you have to think about. They're just playing so good right now.
Saying the feed, Yamzo went down, but not before taking down Craze. And Craze was the one that got the eliminations on the G-Money and Rise, trying to close that gap when it comes to qualification spots. But now it's Muzz, Sphinx, and Shadow who are reaping the reward, because with no Aviv that has the spot, no Booga who's in front of them on that leaderboard, this is their chance to start to join that conversation in a serious manner going into our final game of the day. But if you look at high ground, Bolts, Kanata, and Rapid, they're looking to not just be a part of the conversation, they're looking to steal the show.
Aviv, G-Money, and Rise had a 60-point stretch over Booga starting his lobby off, and even further for Muzz's trio. So that's going to be huge for Bolts, Rapid, and Kanata. They need a lot more eliminations, so this is a great start for them to start earning some points and at least taking advantage, putting themselves in a conversation for maybe even a second place here. Maybe they could stand a benefit potentially if Peterbot's team takes down Acorn. Who knows what the last game's going to yield, but one thing's for certain, whoever wins this game, if it's Kanata's trio, that's going to shake things up. If Acorn's team doesn't go the distance, Cooper, Reed, Curly, playing a low ground on the outskirts right now. Definitely a wild factor here in the lobby. Let's go.
Those are key eliminations right there. 4 more points and more because of the placement, knocking that team out of the lobby. They see so much chaos going down around. They're just trying to peek and find that perfect opportunity to get more. As Bolts, Kanata, and Rapid, because so much is going on in and outside of the different layers on the low ground. Nobody has really had a chance to feel comfortable enough to look up. The one team that would, Angels, Acorn, Pollo, they're on that ultimate low ground. They're building space and they're trying to claim it as their own, but Bolts is still going on the hunt. You talked about eliminations being needed. Well, he heard you loud and clear.
Yeah, he definitely has to do something. But look at this, Angels, Acorn, Pollo still standing here, earning placement points ever so slowly. They did everything they needed to do for the elimination, so they have racked up enough. Bolt is still getting active, though. Huge shot to shot. He has to force his way back to the top of that miss form just to buy him a little bit more time. And finally now, pressure comes from the low ground here, forcing Angels up and out, but Pollo's hot on the heels here. They're doing an excellent job rotating together. Bolt sees what's happening. They know you have to target second height. You can't get them or allow them to get comfortable. And here it is, the clash that we've been waiting for might just happen.
Yeah, and they know exactly where they're at because of the hot potato with that medallion. And there goes a flank right there. Bolt yoinks him in, almost gets that knock and elimination. Pollo, life flash right before your very eyes, but quick thinking, the medallion Stallion changing hands. Chug Jug is out. His team's going to build him a path, using the mistborn to try to get to the front side of zone, buying him time to heal. But I think Bolts might know there's somebody that did not go with him, that is last to enter and might be the first to leave as they continue to target down below. They know if they have any chance at taking that first place spot, they need to figure out a way to take down the Titans. As Fleek steps in the way, Bolts is going to take him out regardless who he is and enters that mistborn to reclaim their high ground.
This is why I absolutely love the misform in the end game as well. It just picks up the pace of the game. So many opportunities to just prove how far ahead you can be as an individual competitor. And Boyo is still going as well. I know we're focusing in on what Bolt is capable of, but Boyo is standing here strong alongside Acorn. Acorn's going to fall. He's going to pick up some material now. Someone has managed to actually reclaim high ground. So Bolt's, Rapid, and Kanata are actually distracted here for a second. They have to force their way up top. It's Curve who's just giving, honestly, everyone else time to make a move. Muzz, Sphinx, and Shadow are almost happy this is happening.
Boyle's just buying time. He knows Acorn's going in, trying to be a little bit of disruptor, but he goes down with his last med kit in his inventory. He's forced to use the misform to go in. Sliver of HP remaining, instantly deleted by Kanata, Bolt, and Rapid, but will that have been too late? Now they end up in a 3v3 situation, everything to fight for. Each team trading off downs each. Shadow's by himself, but he gets taken out. The Siphon is going to come into play for Bolt, buying him just a little bit extra time, maybe even more, as Muzz goes down as well, but Shadow has created such distance away. He goes back up, knows Kanata's playing the heal off. Smart play by Bolts here. He doesn't want to give away that Siphon for free, and it works out perfectly. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid storm through game 11 and take it by force.
Talk about a big game to keep them in the running here and now. Overagers, Acorn, Boyo, a back and forth fight, and then Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx taking full advantage of the opportunity that was nearly gifted to them because of VG Money Rise Fall, Booga Threats and Craze Fall, Visual Brazen Diminish out of the competition as well. And all of a sudden now, those that matter are stepping up when it matters, Jacob. That was a great game. Talk about a way to kind of set us up, right, for the finale here to come.
Yeah, I mean, it's just plays like this. They get the high ground. They know everybody down below has been through the ringer, and they just calm, cool, collected, just get these eliminations and even dive down to pick up the loot like you're watching Bolts here. That just reinforced their position up above. But we talked about it throughout the course of the game in terms of Peterbot. But Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, they need eliminations to close the gap if they want to take that first place spot. Well, guess what, Monster? They ended this game with double digits. They ended this game with 14 eliminations after taking down Sphinx here for the Victory Royale. That plus the 65 points, 121 point game for a team that's all but clutched their spot to the global championship. But with one game left, Monster, we got to throw it to Zeke, Kelly, and Vivid to break down all that actions and lead us to the promised land.
Production, I'm so sorry. I need the highlights of those final few moments of that game. Oh my gosh. 14 elim Victory Royale. And essentially the tail end of the competition. Oh man, I spoiled myself on the standings too. Okay, Zeke, focus. What an insane game from the trio, right? What an insane game, Kelly. They have height, and in those moments, and again, I cannot talk enough about this trio. Again, pressure is on. We're trying to qualify, and Kanata's not thinking, I just want to qualify. I want to win. Bolt is right there with him. Rapid there to support beat after beat. I'm blown away. I'm at a loss for words. It's crazy.
I mean, after yesterday's games where we saw Muzz get 13 eliminations, I was like, there's no way we're going to see anyone get any more than that. Even Peterbot has peaked out at 11 eliminations, but to get 14 18 elims in the 11th game of the final grand finals of the season. I can only imagine how loud that dig house was. Kanata yelling at the top of his lungs, and with Bolt, Rapid, and Kanata playing exactly like how they like to play. This was their game to win, and they did it with flying colors.
Yeah, I mean, Bulge just playing on the edge of danger at every single waking moment, right? Constantly dropping down, of course, the misform to kind of back up that type of play style, but just making sure that he and his trio had enough materials to kind of hold that high ground, apply enough pressure. The amount of times we kind of saw him dip down, pick up some of those mats, fly back up, make sure his trio was healthy, and then at the very last moment as well, Jacob kind of called it out, kind of using the misform, returning back to Kanata, dropping the misform so Kanata had that little bit of an extra boost in the heal of if he ended up needing it. Oh, just crazy stuff happening on NA. Game number 11. I told you it was going to set us up big for game number 12.
Oh, dude, the tech, that's what blows me away. Bro, just think in the moment, you're like, I have a misform. It has 2 charges. If he just used both to try and find that player, find Sphinx, track him down, I would be like, yeah. He misforms up to Kanata and drops him the final charge. To just think about the implication. Kanata's like, oh shoot, something's wrong. Misform. Gonna go find some. Gonna go. You giving me time to go look? Oh my gosh, bolts are nuts. Okay, I love Fortnite. We're gonna go to a break. When we come back, we're gonna take a look at these standings. Your little mind's gonna be blown. So is mine. Get ready. Gear up. One final game, Fortnite fam. We'll see you real soon.
Taking them all down. Don't worry about it. If we stick together, we can.
This shit is a movie. I'm not gonna lie, Grime.
Welcome back. I've been sitting here trying to maintain my awesome. It is great to
No,
see.
you haven't.
Back to the FNCS. I have not. One game. Thankfully, we go to break so I can yell into the ether and you guys don't have to hear that. That's what's great. We are one game away from concluding NAC Grand Finals, okay? All right. This last game, grab a Canada Bolts, get themselves 14 elimination victory royale. Let's take a look at the standings to see how close this is. Now,
Washington, thank you for the tier 1, boy.
Taco Bell's $5, $7, and $9 Lux Cravings boxes. Take a dip.
Why did that? Because yeah. Yeah, but if I do it, if I do it, yeah. So why would taking Storm not work? Yeah.
Alsana.
Static hold, good burn. School pickup, then meal prep. Besitos for the littles. To the station. Recharge. Then the 3 alarm comes in. Calls like.
Taco Bell's $5, $7, and $9 Lux Cravings boxes. Take a dip with the $5 Classic box. Indulge in the $7 Supreme box. Or try the $9 Discovery box featuring the crispy chicken burrito. Get Lux for less, only at Taco Bell.
Change with a pickaxe and a swing. The support system comes through for Peterbot. Ritual, Cold, and Acorn. You can run. But, buddy, I don't think you're going to be able to hide for much longer. They're making sure they have no odds at losing this one. And Acorn is just hiding out here down in the low ground. I think something's going to happen here that's going to give away his position here. But it looks like the real kings of the Demon's Domain will be Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. Oh my gosh, and already you see that lead be diminished in this one game. Peterbot takes matters into his own hands, is able to drop the first, get the elimination onto Agers, who was the difference maker with their weapons, save Cold, and take down Acorn. This is exactly what we wanted coming into Major 3, and I hope everybody is happy because we got that treat. I absolutely hate that I was grinning just ear to ear watching this all go down because Agers, Acorn, and Boyer were so deserving, but at the same time, it just makes you wonder,
What can you do to stop Ritual Cold and Peterbot? It's like when they want something done, you have never seen a team in Fortnite's history just go out and take it, right? And they're doing it here. And like you said, the point gap now starts to shrink. For Rapid, Kanata, and Bolt to have a chance to race to the finish line. They really genuinely do. Ritual Cold and Peterbot, that might be the momentum and honestly the mood shift that they've been looking for, because the last couple games, Jacob, we have had a somewhat out of the ordinary performance from them, right? 14th, 15th, that's not usual.
Just looking right now at the points, a 30-point deficit to second place right now. And with those eliminations, they already dropped it down to, I think, 18 points behind Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts. But I know, everybody at home knows who's had their eyes peeled out Fortnite competitive. He's not fighting for second place, so he has to do one of two things. Drop an historic elimination game to not only take the spot over Acorn, Ages, and Poyo, but pass Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts if they don't go down, or they're going to have to go on another hunt. They're going to have to figure out where Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts are at, take them down, and finish off this game with a win over the game.
Yeah, none of those are easy asks, right? You got to go across this entire map. You have to be deadly accurate now. And, again, yesterday we talked a lot about this. There's contingency plans for teams like Acorn and company, all right? They've been planning this the entire year, but not necessarily a contingency plan for, what happens when Kanata's up there? What happens when G Money Rise and Aviv are running things, right? Like, these are just, unforeseen circumstances. And, this last game really is going to be up for surprise. We know for certain that Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid surely have downloaded what just happened. It's all starting to process here and now. And we're going to get to see if they can actually perform under pressure when it matters most. I know Bolts has been here before, Kanata and Rapid as well. However, it's been a while, right? It's been a while since you had this opportunity to unfold here.
I just want to take this moment to say congratulations, though, before this one ends, for Kanata reaching its 28th consecutive FNCS finals. His point lead is so far ahead. He has that one locked in, which kind of leaves only one more spot up for grabs. And you're looking at other teams when you write down that leaderboard. Aviv, G Money Rise, Muzz, Shadow, Sphinx, Booga, Threats, and Craze would be those top three teams to look at. Uh-oh. The lurk, the sneak, Magma's going to be first, box to box. Already Bolts is there, trying to chase down. That could be another elimination if they get this other wipe. This is 12 more points. They're going for the win here.
I like this. This is exactly what they need, because if you don't, you know what's going to happen. Everyone that's right behind you are going to start running their way on up. Kanata, Bolts, Rapid, playing as sharp as ever. Front side, Kanata kind of leading the charge here, really showing us just how mechanical he is. Don't forget what he's capable of. Yeah, he might have put that IGL hat on for quite some time, but there's a reason he made it to the top. Just off of his mechanical skills here. Where's the backup, though? They got to end this one quickly so they can get a move on, because this is deviating away from their usual strategy, sitting up in big bases, right? Going for exchanges. This is definitely a stake at earning points, trying to play fast. And we all know when you start switching stuff up, Jacob, that things can happen.
Just a tough angle right there. Exactly that. There's too many risks going down right here in this fight. They do have the elevation advantage, and they're trying to smush that team further and further down. You see Kanata take another approach, going on their layer, and he's trying to just funnel them into one direction from the ground up this time around. Sees the footsteps, no scares towards the left, causers as well. Positions are not going to be hid, but they spot out Kanata. They land that first shot. Not going to be a game changer, but that one surely is. Kanata has just gone down. Bolts and Rapid need to figure out if they want to stay or go.
I'm seeing a little bit of the hesitation from Bolts. I didn't want to call it out too early, but he was only down 20 HP, and he's stopping the Chug Jug, almost leaving Kanata out by himself. I have questions about what I just watched go down. This fight should have started and ended so much sooner, but I think we are watching championship jitters on Rapid and Bolts. I'm not even kidding here.
That could quite well be a possibility, because we have not seen this in 12 games so far. This is the first time they're just keying over from Crime City, knowing that honestly, you can't just expect these players to have a bad game. The only reason why Agers, Acorn, and Poyo are even down is because of a contested fight versus one of the other great teams on the region. So they're trying to just keep as much control underneath their own hands as possible. Unfortunately, Kanata goes down. Bolts immediately used that launch pad to disengage, but because he did that, Rapid stayed, and that full team is leaving. And so Rapid will have a chance to get the reboot card. This is not the last we've seen of this full trio.
Crazy to think they get to count their lucky stars, you know, to just kind of stay in the running right now. Because if it was any other team, they might have just finished the fight. They might have actually had just enough awareness to recognize, wait, there's still one player left. We actually have this. But neither here nor there. These are the cards we've been dealt. We get to see it continue to go down. Damage, we know for sure they're going to be way behind on that. So this is only looking better and better for Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. And by the way, I guess we can solidify here. Well, I guess we can't say for certain yet if Oyo won't be the 5X, but so far so good for Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual.
And they're literally getting everything this game. They got Demon's Domain. They got the off-spawn eliminations. They got the Spire. Island spawning, or could in theory spawn right there, but I think it is going to go towards the north, so not just yet. Not everything quite yet, but you know what they want. They usually get. Taking control over this lobby right now, floating around Foxy Floodgates. There is different amount of rotation here that's naturally in the form of a launch pad. Just trying to wait and see where this next zone goes. I do believe it is going to continue to pull towards the north side of the map. The Rise, Aviv, and G-Money, they are currently in second place when it comes to that global championship spot, and they're not trying to lose control of their own destiny. Great elimination onto Noxie. That brings them from about a 17-point lead to 21.
It's a big deal. Buzz's team is close, but the more G-Money's team starts to break away, the better. Oh, they only get the full team Elam. Look, they only get 4 off this. So I was under the impression they might have actually gotten a full finish, but this might be the same kind of song and dance we just watched play out with Bolts and Rapids team where, you know, you get in those positions where the finish line is right there and you're like, wait, maybe not. Maybe let's not take this fight. You do something a little different. You play a little more passive. We'll see if they end up regretting it later. Not going to finish that fight. Not only for the damage they'll probably need here in the last game, but the points. Those points are going to matter.
Yeah, well said. And you're kind of seeing it affecting their game plan right here. Just traveling towards the whole eastern side of the map. The slow rotation where they're hoping they're not having to run into too many teams. Hoping that the surge they were able to accumulate is going to be enough. But as Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual go and contest the Demon's Domain, that leaves Brutal Boxcars free as can be. Spire lands over there, and when teams in the feed see the eliminations, they know who goes down, what's going on, they try to make that a part of their game plan, and that's why Clix, Diabzo, and Higgs back to what they practiced when those teams were actually contesting each other, fighting for the Brutal Boxcars, getting the Spire, getting a huge upgrade in their loot, and those superhero rank upgrades on top of that.
Those ranks definitely make a difference. We've seen them kind of change the dynamic time and time again, but here it is. So Bolts, Rapid, Kanata, again, a little bit of a rocky start, you know, but seems like they've recuperated themselves. They've kind of got themselves back in the game. I'm looking at the loadouts. Things seem to be pretty decent, pretty stable, but we know for certain all this time spent back here at the Crime City means they haven't spent time farming damage. And that's going to have implications here in the coming moments. It may not right now because it's the last game, so things are moving a little quickly, but it will end up coming around eventually.
Yeah, I feel like this tournament's been a game of inches for a lot of these top teams here, playing for the competition. They're also losing a lot of information and priority towards the front side of the zone because they're not seeing all these teams pick their spots because they're so far back behind the curve of what they hope to go up until this point. Booga Craze and Threats, another team on the heels of a global championship slots. And so far, they've made it a focus for them to rotate out of Utopia and go as quick to the north side as possible. So that way they can get their position and worry about Surge as a secondary as opposed to first like they normally do.
Yeah, I'm just continuously glancing at that standing, just trying to see who's where, how far do some teams have to go, how consistent have they been, is this a good day, is it a rough day for Booga, Craze, and Threats? They haven't really got to touch that end game, not in the way that we've kind of seen them do in day number 1, where they were breaking top 5 regularly, and they did have a victory royale. So far, though, Muzz, Sphinx, and Shadow trying to do the same. They just came off that second place. They got that first place win. Have they managed to break that mid-game curse they've been battling with so far?
If any game is going to be the game to kind of break it, is going to be this one, where they get a favored zone towards the north side of the map this time around. And battling through so many different trials and tribulations throughout this tournament. They're putting themselves in the best position, but so is this team here. Rise, G-Minion, and B. Very, very similar road. Contested one time, non-contested, contested, uncontested. The mind games teams are playing on them. But for them to be able to hold tough on each and every one of these moments, putting themselves, honestly, in the right spot, inside of that bubble when it comes to the second and final spot for Globals, as Bolts, Kanata, Rapid once again find themselves in a tough spot at the edge of the zone. That's Golden, that's Mason, and that's Chimp as well, rotating right in front, and then a whole nother trio trying to beat him to the punch. And this is what we were talking about, Monster, when we're saying going down early. Even if you're able to get that healthy reboot, you lose a lot.
Yeah, it's Clix' team that's off in a distance there, trying to get the lead to the front side of the Brutal boxcars right now. You can see them just about to set up and base up on the outskirts. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid likely read this positioning well and say, yep, we're not going to go that way. We're going to have to break off into a different direction, give themselves a little room to work with. Here we get an update from Peterbot's team up top. They're not too far off. They could just end up clashing here with their immediate competition. And if we know anything, we know they probably have been doing their research.
Yeah, trying to figure out when and where Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid are going to make their appearance outside of the zone. They see the first team. I don't think it's them. But for them,
they don't know.
No matter who it is, that's a possible 4 points per elimination. That's a 12-point swing right there if they're able to take down the full trio. A whole other team making their way in towards Brutal Boxcars, but you see the marks on the minimap. Bolts, Kanata, Rapid are not too far away from what is going on here. And if they hear the noise, you know as well as I do, they tend to get a little noisy, seeing what the third party is. How can they use that to their advantage?
You know, they're thinking about, okay, why is this team playing so passive, right? Could this be Kanata's trio? Obviously, you know, these guys are trying to decipher every little read possible to see if they can just get a hint of who's who and where's what. Even those skin details will play a factor in them determining what team's what. So for now, you might have seen enough to recognize that's not the trio they're looking for. Bolts, Kanata, Rapid now on the move here, though, back inside the building of the boxcar. Trying to get back situated here in this game. This is a desperate reform here as the map is pulling pretty further away. They will end up crossing paths with Clix's trio and Peterbot's trio here shortly. I do think that's their team off to the right. And there, they might have spotted them.
Yeah, I'm locked in on the colors in the mini-map. Orange for Peterbot's team, green for Kanata. As soon as I see those colors come in close contact with each other, I'm thinking it's on, it's game time. They might not know how close they actually are, but it's definitely going to be a scary situation. Booga, Threats, and Craze, though, lurking up onto Muzz. May not know that's exactly them, but that is the team that they have to go through. One of two teams if they want to qualify for the Global Championship. And for Booga and Threats, it's to remain perfect in terms of qualifying for these lands.
This is big. This is like their little Global Championship fight right here. We're watching it all go down. Oh, no, Muzz. Okay. Oof. Jumps off the cliff there. Could have got 3-2-1, but that doesn't mean Sphinx or Shadow safe. Oh, Sphinx finds himself a little bit out of position. Reds needs to stop moving or they're going to give away the spot. Crazy's going to end up opening here. There it is. They initiate, but they miss. Sphinx reacts super fast. Luckily, yeah, Dash is on standby, and he backs off. The fight happening right here. Below the threshold for Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid. They haven't done enough. And that's all because of that kind of slow start they had, that initial knock onto them. They will be forced to take this fight right now.
Yeah, they changed things up so much. It's not exactly the change they were looking for. 100 damage below. One well-placed shot could change things up. But right in front of them, that's Golden. That's Mason and their trio on the other side. This is where it gets tricky because now the lobby is starting to gain notice. They're starting to focus their attention in this direction. 284 below. They're falling further and further. This is the recipe for Peter Bot Cold and Ritual success, but it's not going to come without a fight. Kanata makes his way in. He gets the knock onto one, but he immediately goes down, and they're not even above the damage threshold. Another one's going to fall. Rapid is out. It's all up to both by himself, and it's Peter Bot Cold and Ritual. They're the ones shooting on over, and they get eliminated. Now this is just a one-horse race.
Of course, it's Peter Bot Cold and Ritual there to answer the call when it matters. And now all they have to do is ride their way to an endgame and earn 80 more points. Now, that is not easy, though. Let's make this very clear. This is a big game they're going to need to put up still if they want to be the champions. Agers, Aquin, and Pollo do have an opportunity to still hold the line here.
They just need, mathematically, the quickest math, they just need one elimination and a win. One more elimination and a win. Obviously, they can close it with even more eliminations there, but it's Peter Bot, it's Cold and Ritual. What they have been doing so far, I feel like not very many players can say they can do that exact same thing, and the ones that say they can are probably out of this lobby already. And G-Money, Rise, and Aviv, they're realizing what's going on around the lobby. Timing is of the essence. Eliminations are being taken away, and they're almost 500 damage above the threshold. What is this last game?
Yeah, they have a long way to go. They need to finish this whole entire team, get the wipe here. And he's only got 21 builds, so this is much more than just a fight. Peter Bot, Cold, and Ritual, though, pressure coming in as well for them. They have face-checked the Yamso. Clicks and Higgs' trio here on the side. And now Peter Bot, Cold, and Ritual do have a track record. They have a historical record. They love to win the last game on these major-type tournaments. So I'll keep them in the running here for now. But Aviv, G-Money, and Rise do fall there on the picture-in-picture. And just like that, their spot's now up for grab for Muzz, Shadow, and Space to potentially overthrow. Or Buka threats increase to jump even higher.
My man Lebanon EU is probably saying this right now. Cinema. This is cinema at its finest. Aviv and them 546 points. I don't know what they're currently at, but starting this game, Muzz was at 521. Starting this game, Booga was at 489 points. This is truly coming down to the wire. A mere elimination, a placement point could play the difference in somebody's FNCS continuing and somebody having to sit at home and watch it all with us.
And this is crazy because it's an end game on the top of a mountain, right? So naturally, it's going to favor the teams that get there early. Peter Bot's team just literally positioned up on top of one of those predetermined bases that was already up there. So they're actually setting themselves up for the victory condition. I think they're noticing all they need to do is get these points. Look, they marked out Taki's base. They could either go for the fight, try to secure the elims, or play it nice, slow, and steady, but give it a second. Yamso clicks Higgs. Just keeping us entertained here and now. On the edge of the mountain here, fighting their way through Curly's trio. They're going to find Cooper there. Just a little bit of an offset as they push off Reed and team.
Much better position than they're in some of the previous games. 500 plus damage above the threshold for them. Just trying to close out strong. They realized what happened this FNCS, but they already have their global championship spot secured. So for them, it's about finishing strong and go next. They got the global championship in their lines of sight for now, but still a comeback is needed. Peter Bot, Cold, and Ritual, 3 eliminations, 500 damage above, and you can kind of see it right there in the mini-map. I know there's a marker and a bunch of other players in the way, but they have cold zone as well.
This is it. Here comes the breakout. Comes the pressure. They have the zone. The stars are lining up. And they say fortune favors the bold. They have been just that all day long, all weekend long, challenging their immediate competitors. Really trying to take fate into their own hands right now. The combination of a few things are starting to happen here. The zone's not going to be forgiving to anyone here. It's going to start pushing its way off the mountain, down towards the lake. That's going to mean you need a lot of material. This is going to be a matter of, can you go the distance? Do you have the stamina? This is a marathon, not a race here in these types of end games, but Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot, they have options. It's not going to be easy, though.
Still 72 points down. Muzz is being spotted on the backside right now. His season is on the line. It's determined by him being able to make it out alive and pass Peterbot. Luckily for him, he slides into home plate. He's safe for now, but there's more innings to go in this game as 500 damage. That might not be enough for them as they spot out Visual with Braids and a minute toward the backside of the zone. Begin to make it their focus, and this is where teams have to watch out for. He does have the exotic pistol, the shockwave effect, the first and last bullet in that clip. The way Peterbot uses it, shoots one, reload, so he constantly has that shockwave effect out.
All right, we're in that position now. This is it. Teams fall. Points will be given to others that have managed to stay alive. Shadow, Muzz, and Sphinx. Global championship opportunity on the line right now. Visuals, Braids, and Minish are one of their immediate competitors, but they've already made it, so this is just a matter of points for them right now. Minish, Braids, Visuals, kind of on the edge of the zone here. It's going to push back over the mountain. This is really good for Peterbot and Ritual right now. That gives them a lot of time to go in and work with it. But there's so much congestion beneath them. Look, there's no real opportunity available to them yet for eliminations. Finally now, everyone kind of has to come out of those burrow shells. They have a chance here to earn some points.
704 placement points continuing to move in. Visuals gets one on a vert. Blue goes down, Sonetto as well. We're talking about the prize money, and that's exactly what some of these players down below, every elimination, every placing could be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 more dollars in their pockets. But they just have to continue to survive through that chaos that's down below. Meanwhile, they're up above, unchallenged. You talked about the different elevation change that's going on with this zone. Nobody's really going to get a chance to look up. But Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx, they claim another elimination. Only their second of the game, but slow and steady wins the race.
This is it. This is very good for them right now. That's going to keep them competitive here. Ritual's going to play to the front side now. Peterbot's starting to work his way down. They're starting to gas out of material. They need a refresher yesterday. This is starting to slow down for them. Now notice Peterbot is reloading to force the shockwave damage shots off of these teams here to give them all that distance. Plenty of options here. Muzz starting to open up the edits too.
Peterbot still dropping down. Muzz just trying to put fire down from above. But they get sidelined. Down goes Sphinx. Muzz forced outside of the zone. No miss for him, so he's going to go down as well. Shadow, I don't know how much pressure you faced in your life, but it does one or two things. Pressure either bursts pipes or makes diamonds. Now is your chance to shine bright like one.
Wait a second, Peterbot just hit himself back into the storm on accident. They're running low on material. This is the first time in a long time we've seen them not earn any points this late into an endgame. They might not have enough. They need to win the game and get a single elim or get a lot of elims. And right now, we're not seeing elims add up. This verticality is working against them. King, PA, Jin, and Phaser take the high ground. Iamzo is going up to give us a win for a finish as well.
Peterbot shockwaving them all off of high ground, said, nah, you can hold it for now. Keep my Seymour, because the king is coming back to take his throne. This team doesn't want to take part in just another FNCS to take over this FNCS. Prove a point. Claim his 6th FNCS championship, but right now they're well on their way up the mountain. It's claiming so many players down below, forcing them into the first order base where there might not necessarily be an exit. Shadow, he goes down. At least he made inside of the top 8, but where does he land on that leaderboard?
Listen, I'm seeing a lot of placement points and not a lot of elims up top. Cold, Ritual, Peterbot still haven't been gifted. And what do you think about this? A 3v3, Clicks, Iamzo, Higgs looking to get revenge here. They got taken out before. Can they stand through the power that Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot are laying down here? But no, they run away. Potentially to be, again, not found for elims here. Not by this team, at least.
I'm not going to say it's scared by any means, but I feel like this is the smartest, the most calculated we've seen them play. But now's the time to crash. Now the build, Visuals goes down, but Higgs, Clicks, they're the ones who got both of those. Finally, Ritual is able to get one, but the dust has settled. They got their 4 eliminations. Now they just need to win out. And we're the only healthy teams left in this game, minus Cold, of course.
Got a menace here in the mid-ground. Clicks the Iamzo. Iamzo going up for height, just kind of baiting here. But Cold is very, very weak. He's going to go and initiate things down below. Minish, kind of that mid-game factor here. That's a Siphon being rewarded. Cold's going to fall. Peterbot's hit. He has to see the side shot come through. And Iamzo tags him once. Iamzo's going to get the Siphon too. The jump shot. He's invisible. Peterbot can't be seen. Can't be tracked. Misses the Siphon. Iamzo's still in the game. But Ritual stands and wins the game by a heel off in the end. And just like that, Jacob, they do it again.
Oh my God. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. And what they could agree as probably one of the hardest fought FNCSs of their career. I cannot believe what we have just witnessed. They realized where they were at in terms.
He died? Well, it was Peter. No shot, they just won that. She just went up and griefed him. Wow. They needed 90. Yeah, they no shot. They got less than 7 kills. Wow. They won by 3 points. That's not real. That can't be real, bro. We got 444 points. On God, whenever that happens to me, it's a fucking sign, bro. When I got 11th in Grands or Globals, I got fucking 444 points. And then next season, I got 3rd. Could be. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, listen, dude. We actually could have griefed him, too, if we fucking psychoed height. I think we just go up with fucking balls on the table. Yeah. Is that crazy, bro? The one game we get zone every pull. We get second with fucking... How many kills we had? 3 plus 2 plus 2. It's 7. That's sad. And we traded too because we got zone. I'm tight. Sad.